Okay, and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Vince Dao Live. I have returned from Vegas. As you can see, we are back home, and we'll be starting in just a little bit here. Give me about 5 minutes to start the countdown, and we'll get started here, folks. Okay, tonight on the agenda, we have the border crisis. We have these vaccine passports, deplatforming of certain figures, and a lot more coming up tonight on Vince Dao Live. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to start the countdown, and I'll see you guys in about 5 minutes right here.
Someday I would buy valleys with good origins, sails to distant shores. Stand up high in the proud, noble bark I steer, steady course for the havens. Too many foemen.
Tens of thousands on my right, thousands by my side. War between good and evil, watching our fists collide. Battle for our freedom now, to the streets we ride. Flags waving all around, pages full of pride. This is where we make a stand, no more give or take. March around the Capitol, storm the city gates. Putting pressure on their necks until the truth breaks. All walls of corruption, take out all the snakes. Star Spangled Banner, got it playing loud and proud. People from all walks of life filling up the crowd. Defend the Constitution.
I just feel said too. It's not real. So let's talk about this because so much of our national
citizens, white, red, brown, or black, return her to a form of glory, fix the bloody crack on the crown, fetch it down, it's going down.
Folks, this is exciting. I was literally just walking around Capitol Hill today, and I managed to bump into Nancy Pelosi. Speaker Pelosi, so you promised $2,000 stimulus checks if Democrats won the Georgia Senate runoff. So why have you not backtracked on that promise? Can we get an answer, Mrs. Pelosi? Nope, I guess not. It looks like Pelosi is dodging questions from the press, but let's keep circling around here. So over here, guys, it looks like I've stumbled into a meeting of top congressional Democrats. I believe they're discussing this year's budget.
Freedom, cause the fallen troops pay for this. I love this country, doesn't matter how much hate I get. I take my colors in the battle, ain't no wavering, cause this is for my warriors who marching to the cadences. This is for the sisters working hard on the ship. This is for the brothers getting young.
I didn't vote for more foreign wars because you did vote for more foreign wars, and you sort of knew that you were voting for more foreign wars. So why did you vote for him? It's going to be a giant I told you so for me and a lot of other conservatives. Left troops out in the cold, turned their backs on you. I was told to just protect them, then you'd fall. But on day one, that's pretty bold. You go and make us wear a mask. You say it's not too much to ask, but then you don't wear a mask. Your own rules too much a task. I'm saying Biden's hiding, Biden's frightened, Biden keeping us divided. Biden sickness happens and Kamala's grip on power tightens. This ain't unity, this ain't for you and me. This is hurt and break things with total impunity. You want a clean slate from the past, but ain't nothing changed with you. You still America last, and you showed it pretty fast. So don't no one listen. You a pretty big ass, and your VP ain't cool cause she has a little sass. The news live in a fantasy while you giving amnesty, but you ain't got a fan in me cause I care for our people. See, yes, I said our people, not illegals at Home Depot, cause some children pretty feeble. So why are we the world's weasel? Yeah, it's about power. Elites in their ivory towers. American voters are too sour. Drown them out by the hour with illegals for the power. You don't care, you a coward. Yeah, illegals for the power, illegals for the coward. Yeah, hella sedentary, incompetent per secretary. Wish you could be like Barry, but at least your legs are hairy. That don't make no sense. Nah, you don't make no sense. Liberal cities full of tents. Migrants wanna hop the fence. Yeah, people losing jobs, people chased by all the mobs, people in garages for the ops, people falling in the slobs. Yeah, this is Joe's America. This is what he plans for ya. Now we back in Paris. Now we gon' perish. Yeah. Hey, I can't say I didn't tell you. I can't say I didn't warn you, cause I did. Look. All right, and we are live. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Could you guys just let me know in the live chat, just so I kind of know how I sound? Can you guys let me know, is the audio clear? Is the audio fine? Am I lagging super hard, or am I all right? Let me know in the live chat, and there's a little bit of a delay, but you know, we'll figure that out. So let me know in the live chat. If it's fine, comment sound check or all good in the live chat. But yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Welcome to Vince Dao Live. I just came back from Vegas yesterday. I'm honestly kind of tired today because we got like no sleep in Vegas, but it's all good. Okay, we love it. We love caffeinated Vince Dao. We all love caffeinated Vince Dao, don't we, folks? But okay, so I wanted to start with this tonight. We have a lot to talk about tonight, but I wanted to start with this. We've all seen the scenes at the border. I don't know if you guys hopefully saw. I don't even have video in my little playlist, my little my soundboard thing, but the Biden administration is so strict about not letting people into the border centers that even when Ted Cruz, a sitting U.S. senator, gets in there and tries to film what's going on, you got this lady, the senior official from the Biden administration, literally all up in his face telling him he can't film stuff like that. And let me tell you what's really happening at the border, okay? This border crisis that you currently see right now will not be fixed and will never be fixed under Biden. And the reason is that Biden actually does not want it to be fixed at all. It is not in Biden's best interest to fix the situation at the border. And you might say, well, Vince, how could that be? The border crisis is very unpopular. I think they said, they did a polling, only 34% of Americans approve of Biden's handling of the border crisis. And the answer is this. Whatever you may see Biden do in the next few months to try to mitigate the situation a little bit, that is purely just for damage control, just so that it kind of doesn't look so bad in the eyes of the American public. Okay. But the reality is, it ultimately helps Biden in the end, because this is the goal of the Democrats with illegal immigration. The goal actually is to get as many migrants, illegals, to pour into the United States as possible. Get them all in, okay? So Biden wants the people to surge to the border. He even said it out loud. Now he's trying to say not to, just to save the optics in the public, but he does. He wants as many people to surge to the border as possible, so that at a certain point, when the time is right, when Democrats hold all three chambers of government, whether that's in 2022 or maybe they plan to do it a little bit later, they want to give out mass amnesty to every single illegal in this country. And then guess what? They have a huge Democratic voting bloc ready for them. So again, it doesn't matter currently how unpopular it is with the current population. They're going off of this theory. They're essentially a little bit laggy in the audio. Okay, that's very stupid. Let me see. Then I will try to decrease the resolution a little bit and see if that helps us. Let's see. Let me go to low definition video and see if that helps us at all. Oh, okay, there we go. All right. Tell me if it's a little bit better like this. But yeah, so essentially their plan, again, a few years down the road, or maybe even sooner than later, just so that they can get it done, the plan is basically to pass mass amnesty, and then they will have basically an unstoppable voting coalition. Now, the thing is, Democrats are extra desperate now than they were before to get this done. This is something they've kind of been basically figuring out for a decade, but they're extra desperate now. And the reason why is because, you know, this is not something that's being said by the alt-right or whatever. This is actually something that liberals, people like, you know, there's literally the whole Washington Post articles about this and all that stuff. But the basic idea has been that demographic change in America, basically the browning of America, the shrinking of the white population and the growth of the brown population, especially the Hispanic population, they've held this idea for a long time. And again, I'm not quoting the alt-right on this. I'm actually quoting liberals, the Washington Post, people like that who said this openly. They've had this idea that if they just change it, get rid of the white demographics in America, decrease the white majority, and eventually overtake the white majority, Democrats and liberals and progressives in America will have just this permanent electoral control. The problem is that coalition, that plan is essentially collapsing. It is essentially collapsing because you saw their whole idea, right? you have this huge Hispanic voting coalition, and basically we can crush Republicans with it. The problem is the Hispanics who are currently in the United States are starting to wake up to it, and actually the Hispanic voting coalition for Democrats is currently collapsing, and they're panicking about that. It is real cause for panic with Democrats. You look at a state like, and this is not just true of Venezuelans and Cubans, which people seem to think that it is. You look at a state like Texas in 2020. And we all know Texas in 2020, Trump won by about 6 points. So it was a pretty decisive victory over in Texas, right? Now, the reason why Trump won Texas by such a bigger margin than Ted Cruz did is actually because the Hispanics, mainly Mexicans, but the Hispanics down in South Texas swung by double-digit margins from Democrats to Republicans. In fact, if you didn't account for the Hispanic vote, or you just kept it at the old Hispanic turnout, Trump would have only beat Biden in Texas by 1 point. Instead, it was by 6 points, specifically because of Hispanics. So you see currently, again, the Democrats and the progressives and the liberals have had this idea that if we just build as strong of a minority population or ethnic minority population in America as possible, we have permanent electoral control. But again, it's collapsing because you have so many Hispanics that are basically waking up to it all. And you really look at the people that this coalition has always been bound to collapse, because you look at the people who Democrats are bringing in from Latin America, you're bringing in people from very Catholic, very socially conservative countries, okay? Like abortion is illegal in Mexico, okay? Mexico is a very Catholic, very religious country, a much more religious country than the United States of America, by the way, okay? And so you really look at it, I guess what you're really seeing is, especially among Mexicans, you're kind of seeing that these voters are kind of starting to realize that they actually belong home with us, with the conservatives, with the Republicans, okay? And that's something they're starting to wake up to. And so Democrats, in essence, are panicking. And I think this is especially true with Mexicans, I say specifically, because you also have to account for this. Most of the illegal immigrants, and just also legal, but mostly the illegal immigrants especially, that are now pouring into the country are not from Mexico, right? They're actually from Central America, most of them, right? So, El Salvador, Guatemala, right? All those people. And I think you also sort of see this trend that heavy, not just Hispanic areas, but Mexican areas specifically are turning towards Republicans, because it is the Mexican Americans in this country that are actually most affected by this new swarm of migrants basically overwhelming everything. I mean, ask people down in Mexico how they feel about those migrant caravans and all these illegals coming up from Central America, through Mexico, leaving all this dirt and this trash and causing crime and all these problems coming up through the border to get into the United States. Ask people down in Mexico how they feel about it. Not good. And it's the same thing here true in the United States. I think what you're actually seeing is specifically, and it goes in stages, but I'm sure eventually, once we have sort of get to that point, I'm sure eventually you'll see even Central Americans, your Guatemalans and stuff like that, also wake up to it and also kind of go through their red pill stage. But I think you're really seeing Mexican Americans specifically, which is why, you look at it somewhere like California, things didn't really change because we have a lot of Central Americans here. But you look at somewhere like Texas, South Texas, that is very specifically highly Mexican specifically, right? I think you're kind of seeing Mexican Americans specifically take the red pill. And they're the ones most affected, most hurt by all of the Central American migration. So you're seeing them wake up, and that's why Democrats are panicking, because their electoral coalition is already in the works of collapsing. Their whole basically plan to flood America with as many Hispanics as possible might end up backfiring. And so what are they trying to do right now? They're basically trying to override the current population in America by, more illegals, guys, because they know that with legal Hispanics and people who have just, native-born Hispanics, they know they are losing ground with those people, because these people are beginning to realize that they are socially conservative. They're not for all of the nonsense that progressives are pushing in this country, and they're starting to take the red pill. So what Democrats are essentially trying to do right now is, mass amnesty for all 11 million. By the way, it's not really 11 million. It's more like close to 30 million. Okay, so mass amnesty for all 20 to 30 million. Let's go. as many as possible. Let's send in as many. Keep it going, right? Because they know that the current coalition in America is collapsing, and so they're basically just trying to get in as many illegals as possible. Okay, because they're basically thinking is so long as we grant amnesty to the people, then we'll be the party of amnesty. Then all the former illegals will vote for us, and we'll have the permanent electoral supermajority. And that may be true, but the reason why it's such a matter of urgency for the Democrats right now, especially, is like, again, as I've been saying, they are seeing their current Hispanic coalition in America actually start to collapse. Okay. And I think when you really break this down, this idea that a lot of the liberals seem to have, that, once basically whites become the minority in America. And again, I am not quoting the alt-right or anything when I say this. I'm quoting mainstream liberal publications that say stuff like this, like, once all of the minorities form the majority and the whites are the minority, then we'll be fine electorally. But I'm telling you, it's not working. Okay, that is actually, I think, going to backfire on them, because again, these Hispanics, we love our Hispanics, don't we? Love our Hispanics out there. These Hispanics that you see currently in the country right now are starting to take the red pill. They're like, what the hell? We are super Catholic. Hispanics on average are more religious than white Americans. They're starting to vote with their religion, with their traditional beliefs, over just whatever Telemundo, whatever is telling them. And so it's backfiring on them. And who knows, maybe eventually down the line, even this will backfire on them. Although I'm more skeptical about the whole illegal immigration issue and the mass migration issue currently, because, they're basically trying to, okay, the old coalition has failed. Okay, let's bring in an entirely new coalition. Okay. But that is what's really going on here. And that's why you will never see this border crisis fixed under Biden or really under any Democrat. They are very, very desperate to get in as many people here as possible, give them amnesty, and hope that they all vote for Democrats, for liberals, because the current Hispanic Latino coalition they have in America right now is collapsing very fast. You see these trends, okay? They're moving, and this is why do you think I always say Republicans need to spend their time on focusing on appealing to Hispanics, not to blacks or LGBT or whatever? Because I'm saying, like, this not only are these people close, a few decades away from forming the majority in America, but also it is way more electorally feasible to be able to win these people, because like Christianity and traditional values very big in this community. So, and I think that's what they're starting to notice. I think Democrats are kind of backpedaling on it. They're a little bit desperate about it. And so they're trying to figure that out. But anyways, guys, speaking of the border, we have this infamous video from AOC today that I want to react to, and because people have been asking her, what the hell, AOC? You were literally crying at the border under Trump, and like worse things are now happening under Biden at the border, and you don't really care. Well, take a look. This is the reason why. Okay. So this is her responding again to why are you not addressing this question that says, why are you not addressing the border crisis and the kids in cages that like you used to? Okay. And check out her response, guys. It truly is a beauty right here.
Are you for real? So let's talk about this, because
are you for real? Are you for real? All right, let's react to this.
So much of our national conversation, which is not a conversation about immigration, is driven by people who could not care less about immigrants. Often people want to say, why aren't you talking about the border crisis? Or why aren't you talking about it in this way? Well, we're talking about it. They just don't like how we're talking about it, because it's not a
She's not talking about it, but okay.
Border crisis. It's an imperialism crisis. It's a climate crisis. It's a trade crisis.
Yeah, here we go.
Also, it's a carceral crisis, because as I have already said, even...
Of course, guys. Okay, first of all, we'll talk about the whole imperialism argument in a little bit, but it's a carceral crisis. So basically, our immigration system is based on our incarceral system. How does that make any sense? So I guess you say we have this broken immigration system because our criminal justice reform system is broken. But if that's the case, okay, then why are so many people trying to come here? Like, that doesn't, and I'm talking specifically like, why are so many migrants trying to illegally make it here if we have this like this carceral system, whatever the hell she's saying. I don't know what she's talking about. She's kind of on drugs here, but
during this term and this president, our immigration system is based and designed on our carceral system. Those are some of the problems. What about the solution?
so again, she's not going to explain it because it doesn't really make sense what she's saying. So.
Well, number one, our solutions need to be rooted in foreign policy.
You hear that, guys? You hear that, guys? The current surge to the border is our fault. Therefore, we need to just let in migrants indiscriminately. We need to give billions of dollars in foreign aid to Central America, and that is the solution. Not just okay, maybe just I don't know. Why don't we just secure our border? Nope. We need to basically send billions and trillions in foreign aid to fix Central America and let in these people because it's our fault after all. Now, the thing is, she really is just talking about nonsense here because it's like, even if you were to somehow fix all the situations in these Central American countries, which you won't, okay, which you won't. A lot of these governments are corrupt as hell. So what do you think they're even going to do with your foreign aid? But even if you were to somehow fix their problems, it really wouldn't stop illegal immigration, just mass migration in general, because unless these countries somehow overtake America economically, there will always still be people who just want to come to America. And that is ultimately the point I'm trying to get at, which is that most of the migrants you see coming here in this country, both legal and illegal, are not refugees. They're not asylum seekers. They're simply just here for economic opportunity, okay? And they know that, okay, they can make more money in America. They can live a better life in America, yada, 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 right? Same old idea of why most people actually come to America. Now, here's the thing. And here's how we could prove it. So, like I said, my assertion was that they're coming into America for economic opportunity, not for safety, not because they're fleeing persecution or whatever in like most cases. No, it's just because of economic opportunity. So now, especially as it regards to illegals, what were to happen if you were to take away that economic opportunity for them? So what were to happen if you started doing, let's just say, for example, let's say we implemented E-Verify strongly. So basically, it cut off that economic opportunity for these migrants, especially for the illegals, through something like E-Verify, right? Now, again, my assertion is they're coming in for economic opportunity. So why don't we try that and let's see if they stay here or if they go home. Okay, so again, if cut off the current economic opportunity for illegal immigrants, would they stay here or would they go home? Now, one would think if it is really so dangerous back home that they're literally fleeing for their lives, of course, they would stay here because, again, they were fleeing for their lives. But I'm very confident that's not what you would see. Instead, what you would see is they would go back home because, again, they're coming to the United States specifically. Mainly, most of these people are coming here simply just for the economic opportunity. So if you were to cut off the economic opportunity for these people, they would just go home. I mean, I'm telling you right now, they would just go home and let's implement E-Verify to put that strongly, like an actual, very closely audited E-Verify system, and see what happens. I'm telling you, that's exactly what would happen. But she talks about imperialism and all this stuff, and it's like, again, going back to my central point of, even if you were to geopolitically fix the situation in Latin America, you would still have plenty and plenty of mass migration. Or people at least trying to be mass migrants, right? People trying to illegally come up through the border, is because, again, they're coming here for economic opportunity. And even if you were to fix the situation, you'd still have much better economic opportunity in the United States. And so to basically prove that, they always talk about this. They always say it's, the war on drugs, which started basically in the mid to late 70s, and all of Ronald Reagan's coups in Latin America. That's what caused all these people to be coming here. But you really look at migration patterns in this country, and you can see that people have been coming up from Mexico and from Central America, even South America, for long before the war on drugs started. I mean, look at Cesar Chavez and the whole issue with the farm workers. By the way, Cesar Chavez was someone who, is not like he was exactly a conservative guy, but Cesar Chavez was someone who during the farm workers strike actively talked a lot about immigration, and specifically in his case, illegal immigration. I mean, he used to literally send, his farm workers to the middle of the desert to beat and harass the people coming up from the border, because he also was one of those people saying, this doesn't help the people currently in America. This doesn't help the Americans, doesn't help the American citizens, right? To have these people basically coming here to take the economic opportunity from us and to fill up our labor pool. So again, this was Cesar Chavez. This was not Tucker Carlson. Okay, this was not Nick Fuentes. This was Cesar Chavez who used to do this. And so, but the point of me noting that is that the migration patterns here into America from Mexico, from Central America, long predate the war on drugs or whatever, Ronald Reagan's coups down in Latin America, or whatever. Long predates that. You had people coming here for a very long time. I mean, basically since the start of the 21st century, you've had migration into North America, into the United States of America specifically. So just saying, not really true, but okay.
Because our interventionist history
and again, by the way, you guys know me, I'm no defender of American imperialism or interventionism. I strongly believe in the idea of the American nation, right? Not the American empire, the American nation. And so I do believe America should stop meddling its affairs in the affairs of other countries. I'm not here to be some apologist for American imperialism. You guys know where I stand on that stuff. But I am here to say that it is real. That's you can't just blame all of this migration on American imperialism. People want to come here regardless. And you have people, by the way, down at the border, it's not just local people who come up through the border. You have people from China, India, Africa, countries all over the world who just come through the border because it's like, oh, it's too hard to immigrate here legally. So let me just come up illegally. And they know, and the reason they do it is because they know they'll get away with it. They know they'll get away with it, and they know they'll get plenty of economic opportunity in the United States because we don't do anything to stop it. If we actually did something to stop it, E-Verify. Be very strict about them not holding jobs. Don't let them pick the fruit or whatever the hell they people say they always do. No, we're very strict. No economic opportunity for these people. I'm telling you, that's ultimately how you would get these numbers and these people coming up to decrease. Even if you were to somehow stabilize all of those countries, which, by the way, would take more American imperialism, not less American imperialism, that would just actually mean that we have to meddle in the affairs of foreign countries even more to somehow stabilize Latin America or whatever. That would not stop the migration patterns because even if they were to stabilize, it still wouldn't mean that the economic opportunity in their home countries matches the economic opportunity out here. So
foreign policy and history over decades of destabilizing regions drive people to, but people don't want to have that conversation. Secondly, let's talk about the climate crisis, because the US has disproportionately contributed to the total amount of emissions that is causing a planetary climate crisis right now.
Okay, this part is just pure conspiracy theory. I mean, who knows what the hell she's talking about. The climate change. People coming from Guatemala are coming here because of climate change. Where? I don't know. Are the sea levels just rising like crazy in Guatemala? I don't think so. What is she talking about? There's not even a. I don't know. She's on her crazy conspiracy theories. I mean,
who is bearing the brunt of that? Disproportionately, it's actually not us. We help create the problem, but disproportionately, it's the global South. It's South Asia. It's Latin America.
Wait, Latin America is not most of our migrants come from Central America in the modern day. Not Mexico, not South America, Central America. That's not the global. I don't know what he's talking. Whatever, guys. Just a crazy conspiracy theory at the end. But there you go. You see what's going on here, guys? Okay. So she says a lot more openly than Biden, but she's basically out here saying, well, it's our fault, so we need to take them in, and we also need to give a bunch of money and resources, a bunch of help. Basically, we need to be imperial. It's kind of ironic, what she's saying, because she's not making a case that, we need to just get out of the affairs of Latin America, which to a large degree we are. I mean, we're not really involved in Latin American politics anymore. It's not like that really hasn't been a thing since the 80s, really. But she's actually making the case for more imperialism. And actually, Christian Crusader makes a great point. He says, bro, Central America wishes we would be more imperialist because we would bring safety and economic opportunities. I mean, this is true. Would it be an effective use of our resources? No, I believe again in putting America first. But what she's actually advocating for is actually more imperialism, not less imperialism. And I strong, like I said, it wouldn't help. And then you notice she doesn't actually present any solution to the current border crisis, right? Okay, so supposedly she wants to fix Central America. Okay, but what does that do for us right now, right? So fixing fixing the geopolitical situation in a country is going to take like at least 10 years. What do you do about all the migrants now? No solution, no answer, because AOC is kind of a master of this. She kind of just gives total non-answers to all the questions. Typical politician, to be completely honest. But she didn't she doesn't, you notice she doesn't give a solution, and it's because her solution is something that's not popular, but it's really ultimately what she believes, which is let them all in. That's ultimately what AOC believes. Okay, let them all in. That's really what she's trying to get at. So folks, you have the border, and really kind of ties in, like I said, remember what I said, the point of this is so that Democrats can expand their voting base, right? That's the central point of this. And so that kind of transitions into the topic of voting itself, which I should probably plug in my computer pretty soon. It's actually, the battery's going to die in like a few seconds. Hold on. I'll do that in a second. But you have this issue of voting, and so it's a really funny timeline, because on Thursday, Democrats freak out over a bill being signed in Georgia, which basically all it says is they're getting stricter on voter ID, they're reducing ballot drop boxes, and you can't bring food or water to people in line. Now, people are saying, oh my God, you can't bring food and water. But the reason is because Democrats, you literally were holding these big, basically block parties for people out here coming to vote, and they would just hand out free food and free water to everyone. And it's like they were literally basically out here bribing voters. Okay, so again, I fully support that aspect of the bill too. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say, well, I'm not going to try to cope or basically try to give you a blue pill take where it's like, oh well, the rest of it is okay, but I don't agree with the food and water part. No, I do agree with the food and water part, because what they're literally doing out here is holding these big, massive parties to basically bribe voters, which really violates most election guidelines, and all they're doing is getting stricter on that as well. Mario, thank you very much for the $1. My man Mario. What's up, Mario? But as I say, so you have this freak out in Georgia over voter ID. Big, bad, evil voter ID. And so as they've always told us for years, the reason why voter ID is racist is because supposedly minorities don't know how to get IDs. Okay. So I'm a minority. I got an ID the other week. It was pretty easy. But again, that's what they're saying. Voters don't know how to get, minority voters specifically don't know how to get IDs. Okay. So that's what they said. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second, but that's what they said. And then right after that, like literally the day or two after, the state of New York announces that they're going to be doing vaccine passports, and Joe Biden announces that they're going to be working on a national vaccine passport. Okay. So keep in mind, minorities can't get ID, so it's racist. Very, very kind of very stupid argument, but okay. Supposedly that's true. But then here they go again. Minorities can get vaccines. That's, by the way, they've literally been saying the past few weeks that the reason why minorities are not getting vaccinated at the same rate as white Americans is because of racism. You might have seen articles like this from the Washington Post and the New York Times, a lot of other people talking about basically racism and basically blaming racism for the reason why minorities are getting the vaccine at lower rates. Okay. Now that's very stupid. Okay. The reality is it's just vaccine hesitancy. But they don't want to talk about vaccine hesitancy, right? Because they're just saying, oh, it's only the redneck Trump supporting white Americans that are vaccine hesitant or vaccine skeptical. But actually the numbers show that yes, that is true. And I too am kind of I'm vaccine hesitant. I'm not anti-vax, but I'm very hesitant of this vaccine. Especially when you kind of see I really have a hard time trusting the medical industrial complex after all the nonsense they've put us through COVID. Now you really want me to trust them? Like, I'm a vaccine skeptic. Okay, I'm like I said, I'm not anti-vax. I'm not against vaccines, but you can't look at all that's happened under COVID and be a little bit skeptical of what exactly they're kind of trying to put into you, right? So that's all I'm saying on that issue. But like I've been saying, it's not just Trump supporters that are saying this. Vaccine hesitancy, vaccine skepticism is very high in the Hispanic and the Black community. Okay. And okay, it is true that Hispanics are kind of, we love our Hispanics, they're kind of turning toward conservatives, but overall, so it shows you that not just Republican demographic that are dealing with vaccine hesitancy. It's a very high problem within minority communities as well, right? But their central thesis on this is not that, it's just because of vaccine hesitancy. They're basically blaming racism. The reason why vaccines, and there are real articles saying this, the reason why minorities are not taking very many vaccines is because of racism. Okay. But if that's the case, so minorities are not getting vaccinated because of racism, right? If that's the case, wait a minute. How does that not also make a vaccine passport racist as well? Right? Again, they're not taking vaccines because of racism, but we're going to mandate vaccine passports, but that's not racist. Keep in mind, number two, here's the other aspect of it. It's not just that. Remember that this vaccine passport is going to be digital. It's going to be a digital vaccine passport, right? Okay. Digital vaccine passport, according to Joe Biden. Remember what he said? Remember when he said that minorities don't know how to use the internet and don't know how to get on the internet? Remember that? Remember Joe Biden's whole, the problem in the Black community and the brown and Hispanic communities because they struggle to use the internet or get on the internet. Okay, but you're forcing them to have a digital vaccine passport? It's literally doubly racist. So not only is it racist, supposedly, quote unquote, because minorities have a hard time getting access to vaccines, supposedly, it's also an internet digital based thing. Which, according to Joe Biden, minorities don't know how to get on the internet. So if that's the case, the vaccine passport is literally more racist than voter ID. And we could talk about the other aspects of this, right? We could say it's a huge violation of civil liberties. But do they care about civil liberties? No. No, they don't. It's a violation of our rights. No. Do they care about our rights? No. Okay. So all those things are true. And it's not like my only argument against a vaccine passport is, well, according to the Democrat standard, it's actually racist. But it is to say that the other reasons I would say a vaccine passport is bad, they don't care about. But what do they care about? Things being racist, supposedly, constantly, 24/7. Is this racist? Is that racist? Well, it's pretty clear that by their rules, the vaccine passport is racist. So I think that's the strongest argument when it comes to Democrats. We all know the reasons why, real reasons, the genuine reasons why a vaccine passport is disgusting. Especially, it's not just being now. The only, I guess, fair place I would say where it's kind of acceptable is with international travel. And the only reason I say that is because already to travel internationally to a lot of countries, you have to show proof of immunizations, certain vaccines, you have to pass health checks, stuff like that. That is a standard that is normal in international travel. So if the country you're traveling to mandates a COVID vaccine or whatever, like, okay, what are you going to do about that? But they're not just limiting it to international travel, obviously. You're seeing they're ready to do this with domestic travel. They're ready to do this with, like, go into a concert, go into a stadium, places where, even going to a restaurant probably, places where traditionally speaking, they never check if you're immunized for far deadlier diseases like polio or measles or any of the other stuff, but they are going to do it with a COVID vaccine. Yeah, it's a very dangerous precedent being set. Huge danger to our civil liberties. They're basically trying to create this two-tiered caste system in society where it's like you have the vaccinated and the non-vaccinated, and the non-vaccinated don't have the same rights as the vaccinated. It's ridiculous, right? But they don't care about any of that again. So whatever, let's just call it racist. It's probably more effective at the end of the day. Okay. But yeah. Now give me a second, guys. I got to plug in my computer, like I said, because it's running out of battery. But let me know in the chat right now. well, what you thinking about this vaccine passport? And yeah, but we'll use that, and we'll use this to basically circle back to voter ID in just a second. But again, guys, it's pretty clear. Okay, we got to start making everything. Maybe I should restart the Progressive Vince accounts and the Progressive Vince Instagram account, make a whole slide post about it. But again, guys, vaccine passports are racist. Don't you know, guys? Don't you guys all know that vaccine passports are racist? Of course they are, guys. All right. We got to convince them of that, okay? Because it's the only type of argument that works on them. It's racist. It's racist. We'll make whole slide posts about it. We'll trick. Oh, my camera fell. We'll trick all of the Emilys into getting on board with this, and it'll be all good. Okay, it'll be all good. We'll save ourselves from vaccine passports. Probably won't, to be honest, though. But hold on, give me a second here. I think in the long run, though, it might kind of be a net benefit when you really think about it, because you look at states like Florida. Of course, Ron DeSantis always has to take the lead on everything because, the other Republican governors just don't have the same type of guts that he has. But you see Ron DeSantis basically taking action against it. He's already taking executive action saying we're not going to have. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I literally just dropped everything. That was not very smart of me. But anyways, as I was saying, give me a second to fix this real quick. But as I was saying, you have states like Florida, right, not requiring vaccine passports, where states like New York are. Well, what's going to happen as a result of this? Now, we both know New York and Florida are both very reliant on the tourism industry. Florida a little bit more so than New York, but still New York does have sort of a tourism industry going. Well, I think what's ultimately going to happen is, as a result, you'll see Florida, because it's more free and people don't have to worry about freaking vaccine passports. You'll see more tourism and stuff and more industry in the state of Florida than it is in the state of New York. And so maybe in the long run, this is a good thing, right? It's a good thing because we're basically winning the economic battle, aren't we, guys? We're basically winning the economic battle here of, this stupid thing. The red states are overtaking the blue states because the red states have the freedom. Now, the drawback is that a bunch of dumb ass liberals basically move to these states like Texas and stuff and try to overrun them and take them over electorally because they like the freedom, but they vote for Democrats for some reason that they can't really articulate. And that is a little bit of a drawback. And that's also a possibility. I think in the case of the state of Florida, it's like most people who came to New York from Florida, to Florida from New York, came specifically because of COVID and because of lockdowns. And if you don't associate that with Ron DeSantis, you're kind of that's kind of brain dead. But whatever, right? Whatever. Well, it does. It is a possibility. I really would have put it past liberals. But yeah, hold on. I think I'm back here. Freaking dropped everything. I'm such a genius, aren't I? Literally dropped everything. It all fell. The computer, the camera, all of it. I'm a genius. All right, hold on, guys. Let me see. Where did I put that? Where did the mic receiver fall to? Where the hell did it go? All right, I don't know where it went. So maybe we'll just have to do this on that sound. What the hell? Where did it go? All right, whatever. I don't know. I have no idea. Okay, I have no idea where the mic receiver even fell to. So we'll just do this on that sound for the rest of the night. But yeah, let me just put my webcam back so that way we have the camera hooked up again. And give me a second here. It's back. Okay, we should be good now. Let's see here. Camera, EOS, webcam utility. Okay, I think we're good. We should be good now. Give me a second here. All right, there we should be. There we go, folks.
There we go. Literally rip everything. I literally just dropped it all and it fell. But okay, we're back here, folks. We're back. Don't worry. We have returned, ladies and gentlemen. I still don't know where the mic receiver fell to, but that's fine. We'll just go on that sound. Okay. Anyways, sorry about that. I literally just dropped everything when I was trying to plug it in. Well, I didn't drop it. It fell. It fell like a freaking R word. But yeah. Okay. We're back, guys. Sorry about that. But circling back to the issue of voter ID, it's pretty clear what's going on here, right? It's pretty clear what's going on here. So clearly, their whole spiel about voter ID being supposedly racist, obviously that's a lie, right? And so what they're really trying to do here is just loosen the security of our elections as much as possible, okay? As much as possible. And I'm not really allowed to say certain things on YouTube, but you can kind of figure out the real reason for yourself. You can figure out the reasons for yourself why exactly they don't want you to have to verify your ID when you vote, okay? But I wanted to make a little bit of a point about this, which is that, people say, and this is going to be very controversial. I got very prepared for this, but people always say stuff like, well, why do you want to make it harder for people to vote? And most Republicans are like, I don't want to make it harder for people to vote. I just want to secure our elections. And it's like, that's partly true for me too. But I also think that in ways it should be harder to vote. I'm not saying, okay, let me make it clear. I'm not saying to strip anyone's voting rights, but what I am saying is that the process to register to vote should not take 2 seconds. Okay, it should be a rigorous process. And let me explain to you what I mean. So obviously, I believe you should have to show an ID, right? But I also believe that you should have to submit proof of citizenship when you register to vote. In the same way, you have to have basically proof of citizenship, like your social security card and your birth certificate, all that stuff, when you get an ID. Same way when you vote. I think you should have to prove your citizenship when you go register to vote. Now, that takes time. That takes a lot of work, right? It would make the process of voting take much longer and be a lot more difficult. But you know what? That's fine. I'm fine with that. It should be. And let me tell you the other aspect of this that I believe. I believe that, unless you have a genuine reason for absentee balloting, you should not be allowed to vote by mail. I don't think so, like at all. Unless you have a genuine reason, medical reason, you're overseas, something like that. But if you are able to vote, go to the polls and vote, you should have to vote in person, okay? And people might say, well, that's a little bit tedious. Oh, good. And let me tell you why that's good. There is this misconception that so many people have where they celebrate high voter turnout. Okay, you hear it all the time. Oh, guys, yay! Voter turnout was at a record high this year. No, that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. Okay, and let me tell you why. Now, it is a good thing. Let me be fair and say that it is a good thing if that means that we have a more informed and educated electorate, right? If an increase in voting turnout means is because more Americans are getting politically literate, politically involved, and understanding and really knowing and caring about their government, then fine. That's fine. But when you see higher voter turnout in the modern day, that's not really what it means. All it means is that the dumb, uninformed idiots who don't know anything about politics and don't care and are just following whatever the TV said them to do or social media said to do or their friends said to do. Higher voter turnout means that those are the people voting in a practice. Okay, in theory, but you see 2016 versus 2020, the voter turnout skyrocketed, right? That is what higher voter turnout means. It goes up that fast. Now, when it goes up gradually over time, okay, that's just more and more Americans getting involved in politics and stuff like that. When it goes up dramatically one cycle to the other, then it means, okay, folks, that there are a bunch of idiots out there voting, okay? Now, let me tell you, a democratic system, a republic, a democracy is only as strong as the electorate itself, because if you have a system where the people make the decisions, it matters who those people are that are voting. And if the people who are voting in masses don't know things and are very dumb and don't really understand politics and are just kind of blindly voting for no reason, what do you think the end goal of that is going to be in the political system? Well, it's not going to be a good thing. It's actually going to be a bad thing. And that's why I say that, and look what do you think really happened in 2020? What really happened was that besides things that I can't mention on YouTube, what really happened was that changes in the voting laws in many states where it became far easier to vote. You get a ballot in the mail that you didn't even request, and you're like, oh, okay, well, let me just check the box for Biden, stuff like that. That's what happened in 2020. We did not have higher voter turnout because a bunch of Americans became smarter and suddenly learned about politics. We had a higher voter turnout because, number one, obviously the mass media played a role in it. But number two, simply because they made it super duper easy to vote. And so what happened? All of the people who generally don't care so much about voting because they think it's too much work or whatever, well, guess what? Now it's far less work. They don't really care, but they'll vote anyway because they got this ballot in the mail. And Democrats and people celebrate it like it's a good thing, and you have a lot of Republicans that just kind of follow them along blindly. But that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. It's a bad thing to have an uninformed, uneducated, stupid electorate, because that means uninformed, uneducated, stupid politicians end up getting elected to power, okay? And so I firmly believe that it should not be easy to vote. It should actually be hard to vote because, and let me tell you the reason why, because if you are willing to stand in line, if you want to go through the process of verifying citizenship and all of this stuff, then okay, then clearly you care enough, and you care enough, and you know enough, so presumably, about our political system and about our politics to make an informed decision, and you actually care enough to want to go through all of that, okay? But you have people who normally wouldn't vote, but now voting because it's easier. Those people don't care. They didn't care enough about the political system before to go out and vote. They only go vote now because it's easier. And what happens when you have a system where the people who are voting and making the decisions and choosing the leaders don't actually care and don't take it that seriously? Well, then guess what happens? You have a very unserious government. You have a government that's not serious. And in a result, you have a country that's not serious. And what do we have now? We have a country that is not very serious, okay? So for everyone saying, okay, Vin, you guys are trying to make it harder to vote. Yes, we are, okay, period. True. It should be harder to vote. Again, not because I'm trying to strip voting rights from anyone, but because I'm saying that you should have to go through a process to prove that, you know what, I actually care about this stuff. I'm actually involved enough to where I'm going to make an educated, informed decision. And if you're not willing to go through all that work, then too bad, so sad. You clearly don't care enough about our political system to make a good, informed decision. Okay? So next time someone is basically trying to blindly celebrate higher voter turnout with you, don't go along with it. Actually, okay, higher voter turnout 90% of the time is a bad thing because it means that we have a less informed and more emotionally basically driven electorate. And that's what you saw in 2020. I'm sure that's what you'll see a lot again. And I'm just telling you, besides the security purposes, besides the fact that we want secure elections, we should also want elections where people care. And if people are too lazy to where they only vote by mail and nothing else, then they don't care. And they shouldn't be allowed. Not saying they shouldn't be allowed, but they shouldn't be basically set up to where they can easily go out and vote like that. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That goes to Georgia. One last thing I wanted to talk about tonight before we'll get into Q&A and just kind of screw around or whatever. We saw some we saw a little bit of deplatforming on Twitter today, okay, folks? It's called deplatforming. We do a little deplatforming. So now Nick, so you I'm sure a lot of you guys know who Nick Fuentes is, and maybe you might know who Jaden McNeil is. Okay, so Fuentes got his account suspended for a week. McNeil got completely kicked off of Twitter. Now, to be 100% fair, it is a little bit surprising that they sort of lasted on Twitter to this long, right? Because it's like you have less controversial figures that basically have been kicked off before Fuentes and before McNeil, right? But, and again, I don't support anyone's deplatforming, okay? I do not. I think everyone should be given the platform and may the best man win. But let me tell you the difference as to why this deplatforming is actually kind of scary in a sense as compared to some of the others, because a lot of these past deplatformings that have occurred, right? People like, let's just say John Doyle, for instance, or Milo, or I don't know what the hell Laura Loomer or Alex Jones did, but John Doyle and Milo, they supposedly got deplatformed because of community guidelines, right? They tweeted something, and by the way, very arbitrary, very unclear, vague, selectively enforced community guidelines. But Twitter found some type of reason with the community guidelines supposedly to go after these accounts. But that's not what happened actually with Fuentes and with McNeil. Instead, what happened was the SPLC, who is who's basically just a far left think tank, they just wrote a hit piece on Fuentes, on the Grapers and stuff, and that instead was what prompted Twitter to take action against them. So it wasn't even because, well, our overlords at the Community Guidelines Center have reviewed your content and have determined that our selectively enforced, selectively made, very arbitrary community guidelines. This tweet right here supposedly violated that, but that's not what happened with these people. All that happened was a far left think tank basically wrote a hit piece on Fuentes and on the Grapers that in turn caused it to be published in the Chicago Tribune, a whole article about them basically. And as a result of that, because a far left media group basically told them to, they deplatformed Fuentes. I mean, they suspended Fuentes, they deplatformed McNeil. Okay, and so that is especially extra scary, I think, when you look at it for conservatives, because it's like now you don't even have to break the community guidelines. You can literally just piss off the wrong far left think tank or group or whatever, and they'll just write a hit piece on you, and they can just get social media to deplatform you that way. It doesn't even matter about so-called community guidelines or anything like that. I mean, so it's really getting to the point of like even worse now for conservatives, because now it's not even like a community guidelines thing. It's literally just, okay, SPLC wrote a thing on you, deplatform. I mean, what the hell is going on here, honestly? And I think it's funny when you really look at this. Okay, so the other aspect of this is that really just every time a conservative gets deplatformed, and it doesn't even matter if there's someone I really like. Every time a conservative gets deplatformed, I'm really just like, what the hell? Because let's get this straight, guys. So Alex Jones, Laura Loomer, Jaden McNeil, Milo, and all these countless other, QAnon, all these countless other Twitter accounts have been banned from Twitter, kicked off of Twitter, right? But simultaneously, there is a known and open pedophile community on Twitter, okay? And like you can find them very easily. All those people, Alex Jones, Laura Loomer, Jaden McNeil, Milo Yiannopoulos, John Doyle, all these people got kicked off of Twitter before the pedophile communities, before the open pedophiles. If you ever wanted sort of perhaps a little bit of an indication of who's really in charge in this society, I mean, who really holds the power and who's seen as the dissident, who's seen as the threat to that political power, just take a look at the fact that they're deplatforming right-wingers and conservatives before they deplatform pedophiles. They'll deplatform McNeil, and they'll deplatform Loomer before they deplatform pedophiles. Ask yourself, I mean, genuinely ask yourself, who do you think is in charge here? Who do you think is pulling the strings, running society? I'm just asking a question. I would never imply that some type of pedophilic elite basically runs the world. I mean, everyone knows that's a crazy conspiracy theory. All I'm doing is asking the question, why is it that these conservative figures, some are considered extremists, some are not even considered extremists, but just in general, why is it that you have these conservative figures that get kicked off, but you have literal pedophiles openly, they're not even underground about it or anything, are allowed to stay on the internet? I mean, do you think something is going on there? What exactly is going on there? So again, I like I said, I'm against political deplatforming. Now, I do believe pedophiles should be deplatformed, not for political reasons, but because they're literally a danger to society and they're a degeneration in society. But I'm not for political deplatforming. You guys know that. Okay, so I will defend Alex Jones, I'll defend Milo, I'll defend McNeil, I'll defend Fuentes, and I think that mainstream conservatives really need to watch out here, because look what happened with Fuentes, right? It wasn't that he violated community guidelines. It was that the SPLC just decided they didn't like him and got Twitter to take him down. So how long before the SPLC decides that they don't like Ben Shapiro or they don't like, Charlie Kirk or someone like that? Now you're showing that they're equally susceptible. It doesn't matter if these people violated a single community guideline, right? It doesn't matter. They'll take you down if the SPLC says they don't want you. And you know how the SPLC sees things. Everyone can write of Mitt Romney as a white supremacist. That's the view of the SPLC. So, how long before mainstream conservatives who basically just assume, oh, Fuentes is an extremist. Oh, Alex Jones is an extremist, right? How long before conservatives who kind of think that they're sort of protected because everyone else on the fringe is getting kicked off, how long before it comes for them too? Not very long in my estimation. I think it's really happening sooner than later. I mean, for God's sakes, they took off Trump. They took off Trump, the president of the United States. You think you're safe? Of course you're not safe. But yeah. Anyways, guys, let's with that being said, let's read the chat. Any Doyalists in chat? I am a Doyalist. Okay, I'm a Doyalist. So, let's see. Let me read the chat here, folks. Do I like chicken? Thank you very much for the $2.79 super chat from King JJ. He says, do I like chicken nuggets or no? They're okay. They're not like my favorite thing to eat, but they're decent. I'll eat chicken nuggets. As a matter, I'll honestly eat anything. I'm like literally one of the least picky eaters out there. But do I like chicken nuggets or no? I think chicken nuggets are decent in my opinion. I'm a pretty big fan of chicken nuggets. Again, not my favorite thing. I prefer chicken tenders. I'm more of a chicken tenders kind of guy than a chicken nuggets kind of guy. I like it because it tastes a little bit more fried. You know what I mean? And fried chicken in general. But yeah, chicken nuggets are fine. You can't go. Can anyone name one thing besides chicken breast that is like bad? That's chicken. Chicken tenders, chicken sandwich, grilled chicken. So long as it's not chicken breast, rotisserie chicken. It's all good, minus the chicken breast, obviously. We don't like our chicken titties, do we? But King JJ, oh my God, come on, King JJ, what kind of question is this? He says, how big is your glizzy? It's big enough, my guy. Okay, I'm not gonna answer such freaking messed up questions, okay? But I do have to technically address it because you said it in the super chat. But come on, none of that, sir. None of that, sir. Come on, sir. We're a clean channel here. We're very, very clean, okay? Only reason why they banned Nick was that many of his ideals were going mainstream this year in the right. But it's always been kind of weird to me though, because I never really understood why. I'm not saying that Fuentes should be deplatformed, but I've always kind of thought it was weird that Nick has remained on Twitter and is verified on Twitter for so long, while these other figures have just gotten kicked off so fast. I've always been like, what's up with that? That's kind of weird. So honestly, who really knows what's going on there? But undercooked chicken thighs. Well, you can't eat undercooked chicken. That's really not safe. My bad, bro. What's your opinion of felons voting? Nope, no good. I think once you've served your sentence and after your parole, if you're an American citizen, then yeah. I mean, I think you should be allowed to vote. Not that you should be encouraged to vote necessarily, but you should be allowed to vote technically. But I think that's only after you serve. Not only are you done with jail, but you're done with your probation. You're done with your what's it called? What's that? Parole. Yeah, with your parole. Then that's the only case I'd say it's fine for you to be voted. How are the bruises from the Garage? Okay, here's a good question. Someone's asking about my trip to the Vegas shooting range on it was on Monday. Yeah. How are the bruises from the Garage? Well, let's see. Are they still there? I think they're gone now. Yeah, they're gone now. But how are the bruises from? It did bruise my shoulder. It definitely did. That whole day I was kind of like, ugh, a little bit. But yeah, we used 30-06. You know, the base standard round. We used 30-06. It had a quiet kick, but it was fun. It was fun. I love doing that. Okay. Like you guys might have seen that I said. I'm 1/4 white, right? 1/4 Italian, but Italian American. Okay, people got kind of confused about this. I'm a fourth white. So Italian family immigrated here back in like the 1920s or something like that. And so my great grandpa fought in World War II. He's a World War II vet, and he fought in the Ardennes, and then in the Battle of the Bulge for people who don't know what that is. And then my grandpa from Vietnam. So I got to shoot both of their guns, and that's what I kind of wanted to shoot. It was I shot the Garand because I wanted to get the feel of World War II, and then I shot an M16 to get on full auto to get the feel of Vietnam. Very cool experience. Very cool experience. I really didn't hit much with the M16. I mean, it is full auto, so I don't know where to put my target, but my spread was decent. It was okay for a full auto first time, but my Garand, I was pretty accurate with it. So hopefully my great grandpa is proud of that one. But Twitter lets Nick on so they can say, "Oh, we let controversial right wingers on. We do like free." I honestly don't know. I've just kind of been a big mystery to me. Maybe that's the explanation why. How did you hold the stock? I had it like in my shoulder, like right here, just aiming, and then I had the stock like about right here in my shoulder. And the recoil is big. It wasn't as bad as the Mauser though. I shot one of those Mausers, those World War I Mausers, that had worse recoil for sure. That actually hurt more. But yeah, I mean, 30-06 is a big round, big bullet. I'm used to shooting 5.56, so it definitely did leave a bruise in my shoulder, but it was fully worth it to shoot the Garand. Very fun, very epic. Am I related to a mafia boss? Unlikely, but you never know. You never know. You got they did live in the Northeast. They're from Connecticut and New England and stuff. So who honestly knows? But For the felons voting, what about the ones that are getting out like 5 days before the election? It would have an impact on them when they get out, so why shouldn't they vote? Well, that circles back to the thing I was saying earlier, which is that it only informed people should only be the ones that I personally would prefer to be voting. In the sense that this is why I was saying I think it actually should be harder to vote in the sense that you should have to go through a pretty extensive, time-consuming process because you should have to care. You should have to care enough to do that stuff to be able to vote. But again, I don't think you should just be able to get out. I think you should have to serve your parole, your probation as well after that, and then you could be able to vote. But I don't think getting out of jail is enough. I think your parole is a part of your sentence, and you should have to serve that too before you're allowed to vote. Just like you have to serve parole. While you're on parole, you can't buy a gun or anything like that either. I don't think it should be any different for voting. So I was really impressed with your results. I believe Ruger 45 would do great. I guess you guys saw the spread for my personal Instagram account. Yeah, I thought I handled it pretty decently. I thought I did pretty decent with the recoil. The other thing, I sort of knew this about full auto, which is now you see in the movies, people just they just keep shooting. In real combat and real shooting, that's not a good thing to do. You want to shoot in bursts because obviously when you're shooting full auto, the gun moves. It moves. So you want to just take bursts, right? Like 1, 2, 3, 4. I was shooting 3, 4, 5 bullets at a time. A few times I just let it out for a little bit longer, just for fun, right? I was kind of just spraying. I honestly wasn't aiming that carefully. I was kind of just spraying at the middle. I was just estimate where center mass is and just spray in that direction. The grouping wasn't that bad, by the way. So I guess I'm pretty decent with full auto, to be honest. Much better than I am with a pistol. I'm probably more accurate with full auto than I am with a pistol. I still got pistols, but yeah, that I think that's also part of it. Is that I kind of new to shooting bursts, which helps. It helps. I have a discourse. Yes, I do. A discourse. A Discord. I do have a Discord. If we could have a moderator put that in the chat, that would be great. But I do have a Discord server. Or just anyone who's in a Discord server. It doesn't have to be a moderator. Corn Pop. Actually, I don't know why Corn Pop isn't a moderator. I gotta make him a moderator sometime. He says, "What is your argument against the statement? America is stolen land. People who stole the land from Native Americans." First of all, it's freaking conquered. Okay, but no. Okay, seriously. It doesn't make sense. Okay, all land throughout history, everywhere else that you see, conquered by someone at some point. I mean, even England, like modern England, those people came over in the 9th century, the modern monarchy of England or whatever. history is a story of conquest and conquerors, okay? And you can try to make a moral judgment like, oh, I don't think that was justified, but who cares? It's done now. It's done now. And the bottom line is the land does belong to us. And also, to the top, what are you going to do? Return it to the Native Americans? Which Native Americans specifically? Because obviously, the people that we took it from, they're long dead, okay? So what are you supposed to do? Oh, give it to their ancestors? Of their descendants? Which of their descendants? Which Native American tribe specifically did the United States steal from? And why exactly should it specifically go back to them? I mean, you want to say, oh, well, look at Arizona. We stole it from the Navajo. Yeah, well, the Navajo stole it from the Apache. So who do we give it to? Do we give it broadly to Native Americans in general? Do we give that land specifically to the Navajo? Or do we give it to the Apache who don't even exist anymore? Like the native land that we stole, those natives stole from someone else as well. Stole, I mean, it really means conquered, and conquest and conquering was a normal part of life throughout the 1800s. It's just stupid. What they're basically trying to do, all the agenda is that they're trying to get people to turn against America. They're trying to kill patriotism, try to kill the idea of the American nation, because they're against nationalism. They're against the idea of American nationalism, right? So what they're basically trying to do is get people to condemn the American nation and the building and the foundations of the American nation as much as possible. Well, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to buy it because, the settlers that came here and built this country did the same exact thing that the Native Americans were doing to one another. I mean, it's not exactly like the situation with Native Americans was exactly rosy. The liberals seem to think they all lived like these peaceful hippies before, when that's not the case at all. Oh, what, you're going to give it back to the Lakota? The Lakota were literally infamous for going around and conquering other tribes and enslaving other tribes and murdering and scalping other tribes. I mean, what are you guys talking about? Or you want to say, like, oh, we'll give it back to... You have a lot of people saying, oh, we stole the land from Mexico, right? We need to give California and stuff back to Mexico. Why to Mexico? Okay, Mexico stole California, for instance. By the way, we should probably just give California back to Mexico, but we'll say Arizona. Okay, Mexico stole Arizona from Spain, first of all. So do you give it back to Mexico or from Spain? By the way, Spain stole it from the Native Americans. So do you give Arizona back to the Native Americans, to Mexico, or to Spain? Who does it go to? It doesn't make any sense, right? And then if you're going to give it back to the Native Americans, which Native Americans specifically, and for what reason? How far back are we going to trace this? How far back are we going to trace this? I mean, honest question. I mean, it's really, it's all around. It's stupid. It really has no meaning. It's the same flawed logic as reparations, which is basically my ancestors hurt your ancestors. So instead of viewing each other as modern individuals and viewing each other individually, we need to collectively pay and be repaid for the actions or the things that our past ancestors lived through. Same basically thinking behind reparations that's really driving this thing. And it's nonsense. It's flawed thinking. It's very flawed thinking. So. Hey, yo, wait, you heard it wrong. It was just an unfair fight. Oh, too bad. That's how history goes, right? That's how history goes. My ancestors, 75% of them are from Vietnam. Vietnam was conquered by China historically very much and very often. And the big reason is because China was just more militarily and technologically advanced, strong. That's how it goes. That's how history goes. But yeah, no, definitely. Too bad. Too bad. Oh no. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I mean, that's how history goes. I mean, tough luck. Tough luck. That's the case all around the world. That's also the case with the Native Americans too. I mean, the Native Americans conquered other Native Americans. It's just tough luck. Oh, the Lakota are more technologically advanced than you. Okay, too bad. So sad. That's how it goes. I mean, seriously, that's how it goes. That's how history goes. Prepare for riots as they relate to George Floyd. Yeah, we definitely are. We're watching that trial very closely. But it really, one of two things is going to happen. I think either number one, you're just going to have a jury that's basically gives into political pressure, or is just not chosen well. It's just kind of a biased jury, right? And maybe they'll end up just ruling, oh, he committed murder. But I think the more likely scenario is probably that, honestly, Chauvin is gonna. I think that the second-degree murder charge is not gonna land. Like that 100%. I'm very confident that's not gonna work. I think the question really is, and you might even see riots if he doesn't get charged with second-degree murder. But I think even third-degree murder, I really think it's like there's like a 75% chance that he actually just gets off free from that as well, you know. And then oh man, the riots are not going to be good, folks. Okay, we're ready for them. Don't worry, we're ready. I think, you know, instead of really talking about, oh, well, they made the right ruling or whatever. Honestly, I'm so tired of them at this point that I think my strategy with the upcoming riots that you're probably going to see is, I think the better move, honestly, guys, is just to blame them on Biden. Okay, I mean that is actually what they did on Trump, for Trump, by the way. They called them the hashtag Trump riots. Remember that? Remember hashtag Trump riots? I was trending on Twitter and stuff. Okay, well for me they're the hashtag Biden riots. Okay, look at all this rioting that's going on in Joe Biden's America, guys. I mean, can you believe that? Like I'm being serious. I think that's what we should just do. Okay, that's honestly what we should do. What do you want to say? Oh, well, they're destroying. Black people are destroying other black communities. Okay. Did anyone care last time? No, so they're not going to care this time. Let's just blame Joe Biden. We can do that now because we have him in office. So debunk the bodily autonomy argument for abortion. Oh yeah, very easy. It's not your body. The fetus who is a living being also has bodily autonomy, which you are violating by killing it. So I mean, it's very very easy. And now the debate, I guess, you know, that you would be having in that sense is it alive or is it not? But it is alive, by the way. I mean, it's pretty scientifically clear. But that's the debate that you usually have to have with the pro-choicers. But I think once you have it established that it is alive, the bodily autonomy thing becomes really kind of like a non-issue, because it's like, okay, it's also alive, so what about the fetus's bodily autonomy? I think that's pretty easily. How long do you think Biden will last? Good question. Honestly, who knows? Like, do you guys think he's going to last his whole term, or you think he's going to get replaced? You guys think he's going to run for re-election like he said? I don't know. I feel like I kind of feel like he's going to last through this term, mainly because he's just really not doing anything. I mean, look at him. They're not exactly pushing the guy very hard. The guy barely does anything all day. He had one press conference after like 100-something days. He barely is even seen in the public eye at all. I think he actually will last because they're just not going to make him do anything. They're basically not going to exert any type of pressure on him. So I think he will actually last, but I think it's kind of deceiving, because ultimately it will be Kamala Harris and other people who are running things for him. Because as you can see, he doesn't really do anything all day. What does Joe Biden do all day? Nothing. He doesn't do anything. The guy does nothing all day. So I mean, it's kind of two-faced, right? I think Biden will technically last, but I don't think he'll be in power. I don't think he's in power right now, but I think by the end of it, he'll be even less in power than he currently is. You know what I mean? So, but I do think he'll like actually like last as technically the person who is the president through the remainder of his term. I'm actually that may be kind of a hot take, but that's actually what the answer I'll give right now. I think he's actually going to last, just mainly because he doesn't do anything all day. So there you go. There's your. Hopefully that answers your question. Well, give me a second. Let me post this on my personal Instagram account real quick. But yeah, let's see what else we got. If Biden dies in Minecraft, of course, if Biden dies in Minecraft, will Kamala get the nomination? I think Kamala's going to get the nomination regardless. She's kind of like, I don't know, who else would the Democrats pick? I mean, I think it would be kind of, even though they know Kamala is not the most electable person, it would just seem like kind of a betrayal, right? It'd be kind of like a betrayal of Kamala. I mean, then again, Democrats are very ruthless, so who knows if they even care? Right? Who knows if they even care? But it just wouldn't seem right if they were to replace Biden with someone else other than Kamala, because clearly Kamala is kind of like as a second in line. It's even kind of seen as like the president right now. You know what I mean? So I think so, but we'll see. Will a new person challenge Kamala for the nomination? I'm sure you will have challengers. You probably have like one progressive, one moderate. You know, I'm sure there are people who challenge, but I don't think they're going to be successful. I think it's just going to be, Kamala is Biden's vice president, so we're rolling with her. We're sticking with her. So I think that's what you'll probably see. Let's see what else we got here. My state, Texas, going back to Mexico. Come and take it. Exactly, take it. Fought a whole revolution, folks. Texas fought a whole revolution, and really the entirety of the American West did as well, because most of that was acquired through the Mexican-American War. And so in a way, the like even California sort of had its own revolution. You know what I mean? So bring back the rooftop Koreans. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'm not Korean, but I will become an honorary Korean to on those roofs, folks. I mean, Asian Americans, we gotta stay strapped. We gotta protect ourselves. We gotta protect our businesses and our property, especially. So. Let's see what else. Is Kamala even ready for Tulsi in 2024? Tulsi would never win a Democratic nomination. She's very liked by Republicans, but she's not very liked by Democrats. The main reason she's not liked by Democrats is because she's just not woke enough. She's not woke enough. So, I mean, I honestly think that Tulsi really is not much of a threat at all to anyone in the Democratic Party. Specifically, because in the general, she would pose a huge problem, because I think there are a lot of people in the center and even some Republicans that really like her. But I don't think she'd ever get past anywhere in a Democratic primary, because she's not woke enough. She's not SJW enough. So most base state, I don't know. I gotta say honestly, currently it's probably Florida. Base major state has got to be Florida. Florida, it's also pretty based, underrated. Oklahoma is not a bad state either, but I'll have to go with Florida as of right now. I mean, I think that's an obvious answer. That's the mainstream answer. That's the easy answer, but I also think it's the correct answer. So let's see what else we got here. Do you think the process to becoming a legal immigrant should be reformed? By the way, getting my citizenship in September. Congratulations, man. No, I do think it should be reformed. I think overall we need to be reducing legal immigration as well. And I think that's the biggest misconception I think that conservatives have, is that they, obviously, illegal immigration is like the biggest problem, because that's an issue of like we don't even know who's coming in the country and it's not even legal, right? But I also think that the legal immigration system is very broken as well. We're letting in apparently like a million legal immigrants every year. I don't think that's sustainable, and I think there are a lot of aspects of our legal immigration system that are highly broken as well, and that are also actively hurting American workers as well. I don't think it's like, people say, oh well, I only care, it's okay as long as you come legally, and it is in the sense that it's like, okay, if you immigrated here legally and became a citizen, I'm not saying to revoke your citizenship or anything like that, but it is not to say that there are not huge problems with the legal immigration system specifically. I do think we need to be reducing, our immigration for a number of reasons, and overall need to have an immigration system that is just overall more just less chaotic. I mean, seriously. To kind of paraphrase Trump here, I mean, I think we need to basically halt everything until we can figure out what the hell is going on. Remember that quote from the 2016 campaign? I think it's true. I think it's absolutely true. So I think that overall, legal immigration is also a problem in our country, especially when you really consider the fact that I think our current legal immigration numbers are really out of control as well, and we're letting in a level of immigration in this country right now that is really unprecedented in American history since before 1965. And I think that you would be blind to say that and I'm not talking about individuals. I mean, I know you're getting your U.S. citizenship. That's great. I congratulate you. But I think like overall, when you look at the grand scheme of things, this legal immigration system we have as well is not very smart. I don't think economically. I mean, it is smart economically for GDP growth. I'm actually talking about American wages, American workers, that aspect of it. But also, I think that we're just blindly bringing in so many people from all over the world and stuff. I mean, what's that actually going to do to? People don't really want to say this, but it is true. What is it going to do to American culture and American society? Especially, the left knows what they're doing with legal immigration and just immigration in general. They're bringing these immigrants over here telling them through foreign media and mainstream English media too, like America's bad, America's evil, white people are racist, America's racist, it's a bad country, a crappy country. That's what they're telling all the people who are coming over here. And like, what do you think they're planning to do with that? What do you think they're trying to achieve there? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. I think it's clearly obvious that, you know, Democrats are using the legal immigration system as well, you know, to basically, you know, exploit that for their political power, just like amnesty, just like the illegal immigration system too. So I think that overall, yeah, we should also really be taking a look at the legal immigration as well. If it was Kamala versus Romney, would you vote for Yang as a third party? I don't like Yang. All right, I'm sorry to my populist gang. I don't like Yang. Okay, the guy's actually pretty crazy progressive on a lot of things, and I'm really just not a fan. You know, you have the little working class populist appeal going in 2019, 2020. That was a little bit respectable, but now he's basically just turned into a full out progressive, and I really don't like it. I'm not a fan of Yang. I would vote for someone else as a third. I would not vote for Romney though. I definitely would not. I think I would just vote for, you know, the Constitution Party or something like that. But I don't think I'd be voting for Yang as a third party either. I think I would vote for just probably like I said, whoever's running for the Constitution Party. I think that's what I would vote for. Liberal millennials and Zoomers should support cutting legal immigration if they want jobs. I'm a legal immigrant, and I understand why we should cut. No, I absolutely agree. And, you know, this is especially true. You know, you talk about millennials and Zoomers basically. This is especially true with the issue of the H-1B visa, right? You have the basically what they'll do is especially true with like tech companies, right? And tech companies are like, you know, the places where a lot of the new decently paying jobs are coming out of. You'll have tech companies and companies like AT&T and stuff. They're literally bringing people over here from India and stuff, India and China and whatnot, on H-1B visas. By the way, not even because they're more skilled or whatever, supposedly. It's simply because they will work for less and take less money. And so they'll bring them over. And what they're actually doing is having American workers, the current American workers, train their foreign replacements. Then once their foreign replacements are trained over the span of a few months, they'll literally fire the American and hire the foreign replacement. And that's what's really going on. And, you know, a lot of people say, well, we're fine with illegal immigration as long as it's merit-based immigration. It's like, okay, even if you are bringing in high-skilled immigrants, I guess that's slightly better than bringing in a bunch of low-skilled immigrants. But still, okay, the only difference that you're really creating is that it's the high-skilled society, part of society that are being impacted less than the low-skilled. I mean, think of how many thousands of American kids every year go to college to get an engineering degree, or go to medical school, or go to college to get a computer science degree or something like that. Think about your kids. Like, you know, if you have a kid one day, those are probably the type of fields that you want your kid. Like, you want your kid to be an engineer and stuff like that, right? Okay, but considering we have all these American kids who go to school just for this stuff, please give me a rational reason as to why we need to import millions and millions of people from India and China and places like that to take those jobs instead. You know, and people say, oh, well, it's because we have a labor shortage, but it's really not, right? When you have companies training people to replace the other person, not that they're hiring new workers or expanding the company. No, they're just replacing the foreign worker instead of the American worker because it's cheaper. That's not an issue of we don't have enough labor. That's just an issue of companies want to cut costs, so they basically try to open the borders to allow the free flow of labor. And so your kid, or you even, who just went to school for 4 years, spent a bunch of money to get an engineering degree, guess what? Someone from China took your job instead because they knew that they could charge that they would work for a lower pay than you. And so either you are going to have to take a significantly unfair pay cut yourself because our immigration system doesn't want to put American workers first, or you're just not going to get that job at all because guess what? Shi Hang Lao from China over here just took your engineering job. And it's like that's also something conservatives need to consider when we talk about legal immigration. You know, we should not be just stapling a green card to every diploma. No, we should not just say, oh, well, I think as long as you have the skills or the education, you should be allowed into our country. No, that's bad. Okay, that's bad for American workers and American kids especially. Okay, and you might say, whoa, you know, well, I believe in merit and all that stuff, but the bottom line is, kiddos, a lot of times it's not even about merit. It's just about how much money they'll pay. And I value these American workers and these American kids specifically first before we even think about opening the market to foreign nationals, you know. And so if you can demonstrate to me a genuine labor shortage, then we can talk about the solutions to addressing that labor shortage. But a lot of times, it's not really about a labor shortage. It's just simply that these companies would rather hire a foreigner because the foreigner will work for less than the American. And that's not an idea I'm ready to entertain. That's not something I'm on board with at all. So, and exactly, so many countries have strict immigration and strict citizenship policies, and we don't, right? And this is not true that the only people, because you have a lot of far left progressives that basically just want to create a one world order as well. But it is true that the people who support immigration, you know, the most, both illegal and illegal, are like people like the Koch brothers, big corporations. This is true, right? Because corporations basically, to maximize profit, to maximize productivity, to maximize growth and all that stuff, the best way to do is a free flow of goods, not just of goods, but also of labor, right? So they want a free flow of labor so that every country can use their comparative advantage to send their labor over. And in the end, the corporation benefits the most, but we don't benefit. You and I don't benefit, but the corporation does, because guess what? They're hiring people for cheaper to do the same job now because of the free flow of labor theory, basically. And so as a result of that, they make more profit, because while let's just say it costs $300,000 to produce this fighter jet or whatever, but instead of paying $200,000 to the American, they pay $100,000 to, you know, the foreigner. Guess what happens? The company makes more money, right? So, like I said, you know, we have to also be looking at the issue of legal immigration when we also talk about immigration reform, you know, and we also shouldn't just be so blind as to say, well, as long as they have merit, it's fine. No, I mean, no, that's really just not the case. So sorry, Mike Lee and all those people, but it's like, just because they have merit also really is not really like, oh, just let them in because they have merit. Because what about the Americans that have merit? Have you ever considered those people? You know, well, quite frankly, a lot of people in the Republican Party are bought out by the tech companies and stuff. Mike Lee is one of the biggest advocates for the H-1B visa. Guess what? What his campaign takes a bunch of money from? Google. He takes a bunch of money from Google. See the connection here? Okay, and that's a case with a lot of Republicans, and it's kind of sad, to be honest. Do you know the social media account So You Want to Talk About? I think, isn't that super annoying, like, slide post left-wing progressive account? I think I know what you're talking about. They're very annoying. They're very annoying, folks. Could you follow me back on IG? I don't know, maybe, man. Maybe if you're like I prefer to only follow back like politically involved people and like content creators and people I know. So if you're a content creator, send me some of your stuff. I'll give you a follow though. What's your opinion on the automation of jobs? So I don't think there's an easy solution to this. I'll admit that. But I am generally like very cautious of going forward full speed ahead with automation in the way we are. I mean, you're going to have such a mass displacement of workers, of labor, of capital, that I don't think society is really going to be prepared for it. And it's like, what the hell are you going to do with these people? You know, at least during and by the way, the Industrial Revolution, misconception that it was all fine and rosy and everything was fine. It wasn't. There was mass social upheaval during the Industrial Revolution. You had a full-out socialist in Eugene V. Debs won like a very large share of the vote. So you had socialists, open socialists, winning pretty large shares of the vote during the Industrial Revolution in America. There's a lot of political extremism, a lot of political radicalism. So, like, seriously, industrialization, ultimately, sure, we got it done, but it brought a lot of problems. In America, we got through it. But you look at places like China. I mean, not so much China, I guess. It was a little bit different. But places like Russia, you know, and literally, you know, resorted to communism, turned into the USSR because a lot of problems that stemmed from industrialization. So, by the way, it's not to say industrialization was clean, but the difference with, at least during industrialization, right? The jobs moved from the farms, the rural areas, to the cities and the factories, right? But at the very least, they were sort of interchangeable. And like, by the way, like I've been saying, I'm not saying that mass displacement of labor didn't have negative social effects, because it did. But the reason I say I think it'll be worse now is because at least you are going from one low skill job to another. In a way, right? Or at least manual labor. I won't say low skill, but I'll say manual labor, right? You know, you're farming, you're a blacksmith or whatever. Now you work in the factory, but at least that's something where, like, okay, the farmer can become the factory worker because it's kind of compatible. But think about it. Okay, so you talk about automation. It is true that you will probably see new jobs be created in places like the tech sector and stuff like that. You're going to see a lot of new computer softwares and computer programmers and people like that. And libertarians will look to that and say, well, it's creative destruction. I mean, look during industrialization, you had creative destruction. Jobs are destroyed in one place, but as a result, they open up in another place, and the people who used to drive the stagecoaches now drive the Model Ts, right? That sort of example. But the difference between that and now is that those were kind of jobs where you could have this crossover. Look at the jobs now. I'm sorry, but your truck drivers and your factory workers and your manual labor people, your fast food workers, they're not going to just become engineers and computer software programmers and people like that. Okay? They're just not. You can't just go from manual labor to, I don't know what you want to call it, white collar intellectual labor. It's just not going to work like that. That's just not going to be feasible. So while it is true that a lot of young people who go to college for computer science and engineering and stuff, they're going to have plenty of work to find. Your manual labor people, your blue collar people, your fast food workers, truck drivers, service workers, stuff like that, right? That are going to be taken over by automation. They're not going to have a place to go. Okay, I mean, let's be honest. They're not going to have a place to go. They're not going to become computer programmers. Like, they're not. They're not going to just build computers after they're done driving trucks. And people might even say, well, okay, well, why doesn't the government fund training so that you can train those people to become engineers? But like, even if you send them to school, you really think, like, not everyone has the engineering brain, basically, like you can. There's a reason why engineering schools are so selective and a lot of people don't make it through. It's because these are hard things to learn. You have to be someone who's been basically an academic all your life to pick up on these things. And so I think even if the government were to fund that transition or help with that transition, I still think it's not going to be that effective, because it's like, your average truck driver, even if you pay for them to learn multivariable calculus, are they really going to pick it up? You know what I mean? Like, that type of stuff is not for everyone. And I'm not insulting their IQ or anything like that. We love our low IQ. We hate the middle IQ. Okay, we hate middle IQ people. We love low IQ people. We love high IQ people. We hate middle IQ people. So nothing against the low IQ people. We love our low IQ individuals out there. Okay, but you really think they're just going to be able to pick up calculus or engine? Like, no, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen like that. So I am very concerned about automation. I do think it is something that we should slow down and tread lightly with. Now, other than that, I'm going to be honest that I don't really have an easy solution, because it is a difficult issue, right? Because it's like, are we just going to turn into Luddites that completely, refuse to have any technological progress in our society? Is that even going to be possible to do if we wanted to do? Probably not, right? But at the same time, it's like, this is going to cause very mass social upheaval, and we should tread lightly, and we should really think about what we're doing here, And so, like, it is kind of a cop-out answer, I know, but honestly, I don't think there's a very easy solution to it. But I do think it is something that we need to take seriously, and also tread lightly, and try to take this as slow as we can, because there's going to be problems. Justine says, everyone be sure to like live. Indeed, this is true. Not Instagram. So used to saying that. YouTube is actually shadow banning conservative channels, guys. I noticed my viewership going down over the past month or so, or 2 months or so, and I figured, maybe it's just because people don't like me, people don't care about my content, whatever. But I was also looking at like other conservative YouTube channels, and I see their numbers are down. And even if you want to say, it's because just there's not as much interest in politics right now, not really true, because you see places like Fox News, they still have a very high impression advantage. Okay, like they're still doing fine. And then you look around and I'll see some videos from these conservative channels where it's like, that should be getting a lot of clicks, that should be getting a lot of likes, and it's just not, right? I'm serious. I think YouTube is actually, throwing some shadow bans on there, specifically for the small conservative creators. The big mainstream news companies, their viewership is just fine. Their impression advantage is just fine. It's specifically the grassroots people like us, like you and me, that are being targeted by this. So with that being said, yes, definitely be sure to like the live, guys. They censored the John Doyle anti-porn video. Very true, very true. And it is definitely a video you guys should watch. It's definitely a video you guys should watch. Okay, very powerful video. So go check it out. My dad's a trucker. He works for the company that Trump saved. He's supposed to be retired for more than 20 years, but still works today. Awesome. Love to see it. Many such cases. Love to see it. Love to see it. Love to see hardworking, blue-collar patriots out there. And, it's like, it's really something like I think one day if we just become this automated society, it is something that we're going to be lacking in society that I think also will have some negative effects. It's like we're not going to have those like blue collar, cast iron sort of tough kind of alpha Chad males that you kind of have that are kind of dying breed. Everyone's going to be like this tech nerd. Not to say if you work on computers you can't be fit and kind of like be a strong masculine guy, but you see the type of people who work for tech companies. Okay, you see who they are, right? And I think I don't think the decline. There are a lot of other reasons for the decline of testosterone, the decline of masculinity. And obviously, this is not the only reason. But I think one of the reasons probably is also because there's a lot less manual labor in society than there used to be. And I'm sure there is a correlation because it's like if you're doing backbreaking work all day, you're building muscle and you're building testosterone. You know what I mean? And obviously there's one reason. It's not the only reason why sperm counts and stuff are decreasing and all that stuff. It's just one reason that is something to think about, right? But yeah, true, very true. So many such cases. Do you support a national statue park, like something like Trump was proposing? Yes, absolutely. I thought that was a great idea. The Garden of American Heroes or whatever you plan to call it. I'm a big fan. We need to find a way to create good substitutes for those missing job skills. We should promote good health too. Yeah, I agree. But it's just hold on. I gotta switch to webcam now because my camera is out of battery. But yeah, it's just I don't know what to really do about it. But it is something I think as society changes, as the economy changes, you're definitely going to see a kind of a relationship, a correlation between the two, and I don't think it's going to be an accident. So let's see what else we got in the chat, folks. We'll go till like 10 p.m. or so. So you guys can leave your chats, leave your super chats if you want to support, and let's see what we got going on in what we got going on in the chat now. Who do you think would get the Democratic nomination first, Yang or AOC? I think it would be AOC before Yang, because Yang is just too outsider, just too anti-establishment. I mean, I think even AOC is a little bit more in with the establishment than Yang is. Yang's a total outsider, and that's part of the thing about him. But he is becoming kind of a very cringe progressive, so who knows? We'll see what happens with that. But don't mean to take away from the gun conversation, but why do you think there aren't more legal immigrants speaking out against the border crisis? Well, I don't know if let's be fair. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I mean, maybe they're not necessarily being given the platform in the media and stuff like that. But I hear most consistently actually from legal immigrants who are the ones who are the most adamant about fixing the legal immigration system, first of all, but especially also just talking about illegal immigration in general, because, they're the people a lot of times who are most affected, right? It's the immigrant communities, it's the Hispanic communities and stuff like that. These are the people who are the most affected by mass migration, not the woke, rich white liberals who live in Georgetown and stuff like that. No, it is actually the immigrants and a lot of Hispanic communities and stuff like that. They're the people who are the most hard hit, and a lot of times you'll talk to them. I mean, I think it's just that they're not given a platform, but I think a lot of them will actually, kind of speak out in that sense. So I don't know if that's completely fair to say that they're not speaking out. I think it's more than just not giving a platform. But I think if you were to ask your average legal immigrant, what do they think about all this? I mean, they'll tell you. They'll tell you. Whereas your woke, rich, white liberal from the Northeast who lives in one of those gated communities in DC or something, they'll tell you all about how we want as many immigrants as possible. But you actually ask a real immigrant, I think most of the time they'll actually give you that kind of answer where it's like, what the heck. But yeah, give me a second here, guys. Let me get my other camera battery so we're not stuck in like 144p the way we are. And so that we can have like nice resolution again. So let me get my camera battery and switch that out. But what's your opinion on Mike Pence? Is he still a good guy, or is he a traitor to conservatives? Apparently some Republicans I know think he's a good guy, but I don't know all the facts about him. Okay, to me, who cares if he's a good guy or not? I think that I think he was never really. He's not really the biggest Trump. I'm assuming you're asking. Like, I don't care what the hell he does in his private life. Honestly, after this, like, whatever, he can go do his thing. But in terms of, I'm assuming you're asking in terms of like, oh, Mike Pence for president 2024 or whatever. No, I think that even like aside from January 6th or whatever, he was never really just the biggest Trump conservative in general. In fact, Trump chose him because he wanted someone who was kind of the anti-Trump, sort of an opposite kind of figure as Trump, and he found that in Mike Pence, right? Mike Pence is pro-free trade. He's kind of an interventionist on a lot of different issues. He's more of the traditional kind of establishmentarian type of conservative, and so that's really my opinion on him. He's whatever you think his character is or not, and I'm not really here to judge a man's character necessarily, but I think that in terms of what we want and what we need from conservatives and from Republicans, he's just not there. I mean, people need to also consider the fact that, just because you choose someone as your VP doesn't necessarily mean that it's like you like that person or that person is most identical to you. A lot of times people choose their VPs strategically, right? They choose their VP based on, okay, what wing of the party am I unpopular with, and how can I basically, unite that wing and become liked by that wing. And that's part of what happened with Pence. He was kind of an establishmentarian guy. He was an evangelical guy, right? And so that's basically why Trump chose him. People need to remember that Mike Pence was chosen out of pragmatism, not because he was just some great ideologue that really stood with Trump and Trumpism. That's not why, Pence was chosen. Pence was kind of chosen because of the opposite of that. Pence was chosen because he was kind of from that other side of the party. But the question is, do you want Pence to be now leading the future of basically the Trump movement when he's basically explicitly kind of the opposite of Trump? My answer is no. No, I don't want that. I don't want that at all. So hold on, let me get my camera back up and running here. But yeah, let's see what other questions we got here in the chat, folks. Hold on, let me get my camera remote shooting first, and then we'll look at the chat in a second. Give me a second here, guys. All right, that should do it. Okay, now we should be back. Okay, but let's see what else we got here. Do you think the Newsom recall will leave a mark if it fails? Oh, I think it already has left a mark. I think even though, regardless of whether it succeeds or not, it probably will fail by a kind of a narrow kind of margin. Regardless, it leaves a huge stain on Newsom's career. It's like, oh, you got recalled. I mean, you faced a recall. I mean, that's like that's not that is something that's going to be used against him. Gavin Newsom was at least obviously someone that the Democrats were planning to run for president at some point. And that's going to be something that's used against him. It's like you couldn't even be liked in California. You barely survived a recall there. Why the hell should you be kind of like running the country here? I mean, how the hell are you going to make an appeal there? That's something that would be used against him in a primary, and that's something that would be used against him in a general election, I think, too. So I definitely think it will leave a long-term mark. At the very least, it'll at least give Republicans a lot of energy, at least going into 2022 and 2024, which, while that may not win us the governorship necessarily, unless we really find the right kind of Larry Hogan kind of candidate, I think it will definitely help us pick up a lot of congressional seats here that are kind of purple. Especially in Orange County, like I said, Mike Garcia, the sort of Santa Clarita area, San Diego kind of area. You could see Republicans pick up actual seats in the state legislatures and congressional out there. So, Jesus Christ says Vince is based. Oh, thank you very much. All right, let's see what else. Let me plug in my phone too, because my freaking phone is dead. Everything is dead. You ever notice everything Vince always has is on low battery? I mean, the guy Vince really just does not have his stuff together, does he? Vince is kind of a mess. But let's see what other questions we got here. Let's see. The chat's taking a second, so let me just scroll up and see what else we have. How long do you, okay, I already answered that one. The Biden riots have been ongoing in Portland. This is true. This is true. They're dumb for making the charges second degree. Yeah, it was really raised to second degree because of political pressure. I mean, you just had a bunch of dumb woke liberals basically saying, whoa, why is it not first degree? Why is it third degree murder? Like, it's like, okay, the reason he's getting tried for third degree murder is because that's the definition of what he was committing, but they don't care. Everything was based off emotions. It was like, why don't they raise the charges? And then it was like, okay, we raised the charges. Okay, well, now are they going to backfire on them, isn't it? I remember that too. I remember that whole debate as well. So someone says, what does based mean? Based is basically like a conservative term for just meaning like something is cool, something is epic, something like you see here's something you agree with and you like what they said. You'll say, oh, that was based. That's really all it means, basically. So when you hear me say based, that's basically what I'm saying. I'm basically approving of whatever it is I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Almayo, so you want to talk about is big cringe. All the white girls at my school repost their content. So true. Many such cases. Okay, many such cases. All right, let me get my phone charger real quick. Yeah. Let's see. Leave more stuff in the chat, you guys. Let's have some fun. It is spring break after all. I don't know about for the rest of you guys, but it is spring break for me. So let's just vibe. Let's just vibe. Spring break vibing. Let's do it. Oop, my bad. That was not very spring break of me. Yeah, let me just plug in my phone. But yeah. All right, what else we got going on in the chat here, folks? Sam Henry says, thank you for taking my question. You're very welcome. AOC is a reptilian. I'm not sure that you're allowed to say that on YouTube, my guy. Oop, I zoomed in on accident for no reason. Hold on. Let me get back. Let me come back here. I'm like literally just stuck in the middle. Okay, new comments. 65-0 like-dislike ratio. Very true. Many such cases, folks. Many such cases. Very epic. If you guys have not liked the stream, be sure to like it. We need that. We need that algorithm boost. Y'all know how it is, right? So, oh, there's my freaking mic receiver. I didn't know where the hell it went. Favorite version of the American flag? I don't. Am I allowed to say anything other than the current American flag? I mean, is that kind of a traitorous to say? But I don't know. I think maybe you can tell. I really like the Betsy Ross flag. I mainly just got this because of Colin Kaepernick. Like that's the main reason I decided I wanted a Betsy Ross flag in the background, just to piss off Colin Kaepernick. But I also do really like the design of the Betsy Ross flag. I'm a big fan of it. So I guess Betsy Ross. Although I'm not saying we should go back to this flag because it doesn't make sense because we don't have 13 states anymore. But I really like the way I really kind of like the circle, like the way it looks. I'm kind of a fan of it. Let's see what else we got here. Let's check the chat for some other questions here, folks. Let me see. Let me go up. Do you like? Okay, I already answered the chicken nuggets question. Come on, guys, we need some questions here. All right, I want to keep the stream going, but I need some. I need something to talk about here, folks. Okay, here's one. Who do you want to run in 2024? Either if it's not Trump, so obviously it's like if Trump runs, then he's gonna be the nominee. But so obviously let's say either I'll support Trump if he runs. So I guess Trump is in that answer. But if Trump doesn't run, then I want DeSantis. I've done actually talk a lot about this. I've done a whole podcast talking about why I think DeSantis is both great on policy and is great on stuff, but also is very electable, I think. And so that's the main pick for 2024 is DeSantis. Hawley would also be a solid pick. Tucker, although I'm sure Tucker would never run, but Tucker would be a solid pick. But I think overall, like if DeSantis, I mean, if Trump doesn't end up running, then I think DeSantis is the clear pick right there. The Betsy Ross flag represents where we came from. Very true. So true. Many such cases. Many such cases. I guess that's a good reason I have it here, right? It's like, here, this is our American heritage right here, right? Are you going to make a return in VDDS? I mean, the Vince Dao Discord server? I'll pop in and say hi now and then, all right, guys? Don't worry. Well, how far we've come, I guess. Why is God in the chat? I don't know. I don't know. God works in mysterious ways, folks. Welcome to Los Angeles. There's always sirens outside. Okay, what is your opinion on suppressors, and do you think it should be legal to carry SMGs? Yes and yes. The Second Amendment. End the story. Yes. I think autos. I think it should be illegal to own automatics. I think artillery. You might say artillery is not arms. Fine, fair. But I think that arms pretty clearly mean arms, guns, and so I think that I think automatic rifles are protected by the Second Amendment. So, can I start a gaming channel? I can, but I don't really play video games. I mean, the only type of games I play now is like if I'm feeling nostalgic from my childhood, I'll I replayed Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2. I replayed TA a little bit out of nostalgia. I might replay New Vegas soon out of nostalgia. But I don't play new games anymore. You know what I mean? Like unless it's from a series I really liked as a kid. So I don't really game that much, guys. I'm not much of a gamer. I mean, I'm a little bit of a gamer, but I'm not like a big time gamer. So what do I do outside of politics and gun shooting? I really don't do anything. Okay, folks. Outside of politics and gun shooting, I mainly just do school. I watch football when that's on. During the college football season. I'm a college football fan. I talk to friends, I guess, but that I mean it's not really much. I mean that does kind of take up a lot of my time. Okay, I talk outside, just friends, football, watch movies sometimes. I gotta watch Godzilla vs. Kong. I'm gonna watch Godzilla tomorrow. No spoilers in chat, okay? If you literally spoil it for anyone in the chat right now, I will literally kick you out of the live chat. I will block you permanently, okay? No Godzilla vs. Kong spoilers, but yeah, I gotta see that tomorrow, by the way. Hopefully it'll be a good time. Do I have any leftist/liberal teachers? Well, of course I do. I mainly kind of senior year. I'm just trying to I just kind of ignore them. It's online school anyway. I just kind of ignore them and just I'm just kind of trying to finish here without really causing any drama. I think I have enough drama on the internet as it is. So. Okay, everyone's saying Godzilla vs. Kong was a good film, which is a good sign. That's a good sign because, it's really easy to mess up a movie like that, but the Monsters has been pretty good before. I mean, that first Godzilla film in 2014, it wasn't that it was a bad movie, but it was kind of just like, it kind of felt like not a lot happened, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, eh. But I thought King of the Monsters, I mean, it was not that they're like good movies, but they're good for monster movies, right? I thought King of the Monsters was pretty good. And so... The MonsterVerse has been pretty decent. Like I've been a fan of it really. So yeah. Anyways, guys, let's see here. Okay. Who's my favorite college football team? I guess see. I suppose that they're probably my favorite college football team. I don't really, because they've been just so bad the last few years. It's like kind of painful to watch them if I'm going to be completely honest. And so I've kind of just become more of a fan of college football in general. It's just so painful to be a USC fan. But I am a USC fan. I mean, that is true. So yeah, hold on. Give me a second, guys. I gotta check something here. Let's see. Okay. All right. Let's see what else we got in the chat going on here, folks. Let's see what else we got going on here. Godzilla versus Kong. I can't wait to see that, dude. Kong. Let me be fair to the MonsterVerse. I thought Kong Skull Island was stupid. I'm so I know some people. I hated that movie. I thought that was just like cheesy and stupid and ridiculous. Like I was just like, because I'm a really big fan of the 2005 King Kong. Like I really liked that movie growing up, and I thought that Skull Island just kind of felt like a remake of the original King Kong story with more that's just like a stupid version of it, like just stupid and over the top and crazy. I didn't even know it was taking place in the MonsterVerse. I was literally just like, what the hell are these big? They're just basically trying to make the T-Rexes from 2005 King Kong more ridiculous by like making these giant skull crawlers and stuff like that, and Kong is just bigger and just more stupid and ridiculous. And so I really wasn't a fan of Skull Island. I thought that was a stupid movie, but I guess in the context of the MonsterVerse, it makes sense as a movie. But I didn't even know it was like in the context of the MonsterVerse. So do you have a place where we can send gifts? I do not have a PO box. No. If a lot of you guys want to send me stuff, I guess I could open one, but I currently do not have a PO box. No. But I do have, I have super chats. I have my donation links in my bio, like Venmo, PayPal, stuff like that. So that you can send a Cash App. You can send stuff. You just send cash there. But if you want to send me something, I don't know, talk to me about it. Maybe I can set up a PO box or something. But I do not currently have a PO box now. Tank is equal to my handgun. My Second Amendment backs that up. Hey. I mean, who says otherwise, right? Who says otherwise? It's who can really say otherwise? Let's see what else we got. Now, am I in college or high school? I'm finishing up high school right now, so I'm in my last year of high school right now. So I'm going to college next year. Yeah. Let's see what else we got going on in the chat. When do you think things will go back to normal for everyone? Everyone will stop wearing masks and having restrictions. I think in red states, you're about like 2 months away from feeling completely normal. It's like it's already kind of feels basically normal. So give it like a few months, and you'll be at normal basically, right? You'll feel like you're living in normal America again. I think in blue states, I'll say about at least a year. Even if things open up to capacity, you're still gonna have to wear a mask everywhere. You're still gonna have people scared of their hands and scared of each other, scared of other human beings standing around them. So yeah, it's like right. But I think that I think that things will. I think that there'll also have to be kind of the component that like we'll have to just decide that we want to go back to normal. You know what I mean? It's like at what point are we just gonna say, you know what? Why the government's not telling me or not allowed to dictate to me what normal means? I mean, I think that's we're also going to have to hit that point at some point too. You know what I mean? So, bro, I keep DMing you, but you don't respond. Okay, just DM me again. I'll look at it. I'll look at it after the stream. 36-year-old wife with 4 kids. I think I may be the oldest. No, we have quite a bit of older folks on this channel. I think we did it before. We used to have a very young fan base, but in the last like few 6 or so months, we've really grown like an older fan base, which is fine, which is nice. We love our old folks, don't we, folks? We love our old folks. And Brady says he's stuck with Whitmer. I feel very bad for you, but I'm stuck with Newsom, so not to say your governor is any better, but we're both kind of in misery here, right? Let's see what else we got in here. Labor lawsuits will try to fight automation. Sure, hopefully so. All right, let's see what else we got in the chat. Give me a second. While I wait for the chat to update, I gotta look at some real quick. Just do real quick. But let's see here, folks. Let's see what we got going on here. Okay. Okay, I'm done with that. All right, let's see what we got going on in the chat here. I'm stuck with Wolf. Wolf literally looks like an Antifa guy. Okay, like literally like Antifa governor right there. Damn, Vince, you shot that M1 Garand like a true Chad in Vegas. So true. Many such cases. It was very fun. If Ron DeSantis ends up being the nominee for the 2024 election, who do you think should be his running mate? I would say probably Hawley. You guys know I was kind of okay with Gnome being the running mate for a while. This whole transgender sports thing, I mean, I really just don't know if, like, the only reason I was saying before that Gnome probably makes a decent VP pick is not, it's just because, like, she's kind of cool optics, right? She kind of has, like, this little female Teddy Roosevelt personality going on. She hunts, she rides horses. I was like, it has cool optics, right? So it just adds that to the campaign. Like I said, you know, the role of the vice presidency is not so much to help with the policy. It's just kind of just to help with the public image of the administration. With that being said, you know, this whole transgender sports basically debacle that you see going out in South Dakota and the accusations that, like, she's shilling to big business and the NCAA and stuff like that, you know, that really adds more skepticism to her as a potential VP pick. So I think it might be a little bit safer to actually go with Hawley as DeSantis' sort of running mate. I mean, you can't really go wrong with Hawley. I think Hawley would be a solid VP pick anyway. And Hawley could help a little bit more with that white working class up in the Midwest. I think DeSantis will be very solid in the Sun Belt, right? I don't think he'll exactly do badly in the Midwest either. But I think his strong suit as a candidate, especially, I mean, I think he could win the Midwest on his own too. But especially his strong suit is like North Carolina, is those Sun Belt states. North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Texas, Arizona. I think Hawley, with the sort of like more like kind of white working class sort of appeal, he could add points basically for DeSantis with that white working class up in the Midwest that we also need to win a few states of. So I think Hawley's probably a good pick all around. Am I going to bring back alpha moves only? I never got rid of alpha moves only. You guys know I still say alpha moves only at the end of every video, and it is true, folks. Alpha moves only. Alpha moves only, okay? You think Gavin will actually be recalled? No, I don't think so. But I think it might come within 10 to 15 points, which, you know, is a little bit impressive in California. That's not to say that I don't think it's impossible. I think that the recall does have chances at succeeding. I just ultimately don't think it will. But that's not to say that it's impossible by any means. I don't think it'll be impossible at all. So I'm stuck with Murphy. That's New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken, right? Are you going to do any man on the street interviews anytime soon? I'm not good at man on the street interviews. It's like my 1 weak spot. Like, I'm just shy on the street. But you know what? It's probably something. It's something we should do. Huh? Maybe we'll. I think like next semester, like once I start college, I'll do it. Once I start college, I'll be in college. I'll find like a roommate, right? I'll find like the thing is right now locally, I don't really have a cameraman. Like my cameraman, like when you guys see me do these videos like out in like Florida and DC, that's my girlfriend filming, right? But my girlfriend doesn't live locally. Like out here in California, I don't really have a consistent steady cameraman. So I'll find that in college, and then like which is like in a few months, and then we'll start big man on the streets regularly. Okay, how's that sound? Vince go to Trump's Hollywood Star and do political interviews there? Okay, sure. You could be the next Will Witt. Yes, Asian Will Witt. Absolutely. I don't know if he mentions DeSantis is going to be running. That's the thing is that apparently, I didn't even know this, but you can't run for president. You can't have your vice president from the same state as the president, which really isn't a big deal. I mean, Trump could just change his residency to another state just to make sure DeSantis is his running mate. But you know, who knows if he's actually going to go through with that? Who knows if he's going to do that? So he might just say, "Oh, whatever, I'll just choose Hawley instead and be done with it." That's also a possibility. So. Indeed, actually, do you guys want to see the video? I don't know if I saw. I'm gonna we can break it down together. You guys want to see the video of me shooting that Garand in Vegas? We can take a look at it here. The Garand was this one, and this one. Okay, check it out, guys. take a look at this. Okay, let me share a video file so we can watch this. Okay, here we are. All right, so this was me. Wait, what was wrong with it? Oh, what the heck? All right, hold on. Hold on, there's some formatting problem. Let me see. Let me change the MP4. Maybe you can play it. Let's see here. Video file. All right, now let's see. Let's see. What the heck? All right, well that's so stupid. Okay, let me just do this then. Let's just do this then. Share screen. I gotta make a new Chrome tab. Oops, my bad. Okay. We gotta watch the video of me shooting the Grand. Okay, folks. So let's take a look here. Okay, share screen, Chrome tab, new tab. Okay. Oh wait, no, I forgot to share audio. Never mind. Hold on. I'm stupid. Share screen, Chrome tab, new tab. Share. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. Now here we go, folks. Okay, here we go, folks. I'm a little bit special, but let's see. Here we go. All right. Now, my bad. Didn't mean to do that. Now, let's do this. Okay, so I have these videos on. If you guys didn't see this and you guys don't follow my personal account, you should. It's at vinny.the.kid. Okay, and the kid with 2 D's, just to make it look cooler. So there you go. My personal Instagram is Vinny the Kid, by the way, if you guys want to follow it. But here we go. Let me let's see this. So here's me shooting. So I shot. We did M16. We did AK-74, the Krakenov. I should have just done an AK-47, but I got confused between the two and then asked for the Krakenov instead, like an idiot. But there's me with the Grand. There's me with the M16. I think it was an A2. I don't remember. I don't know if it's A1 or A2. But here you go. So, oh, there's no sound. Where's the sound? It won't play. Okay, can you play the sound? But what the heck? Okay, wait. No, I want the sound. What the heck is it? All right, you know what? Whatever. I guess we're not watching. Okay, I guess we're not watching this. It's just being so stupid. Oh, the video file not supported. Oh, no sound. Okay, it's okay. I get it. You don't want to let the people watch the video. Okay, like okay. All right, I get it. All right, no, please let's. Okay. So if Trump chose DeSantis as his VP, he would have to win the Electoral College by more than a margin of 29 or 31, whatever it is, in 2024. Yeah, he's not going to want. You're not going to want to take that risk. I would say just either change residency or pick Hawley as the VP. I think DeSantis is probably the best VP pick, so probably just change residency. That's probably the best idea. But if he doesn't want to change residency, then just choose Hawley, because you don't want to run the risk of not. Basically, how it works is the electoral votes of Florida would not count, right? So you don't want to run that risk. It's a pretty big margin you have to win by. I would say just who will be the 2022 sacrifice to Ron DeSantis, Nikki Fried or Charlie Crist? I assume these are the Democratic challengers, presumably. Who knows? Who cares? They're gonna get demolished. It's gonna be like +8 at least, I think, for DeSantis. So who cares, honestly? All right, we got this anyway. It doesn't matter. I really hope they run Andrew Gillum again, though. I mean, I think that would be great, right? Andrew Gillum, Ron DeSantis rematch. It'd be very easy for DeSantis. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, Andrew Gillum literally caught having methed up high sex with gay prostitutes. I mean. Yeah, why don't the Democrats run Andrew Gillum again, man? I mean, come on. But I think we'll be fine anyway. Will Nevada flip in 2024 with DeSantis? I think it has a good shot. Because, you see the state kind of trending a little bit back towards Republicans, but I think the main thing that's going to help us is the fact that the Nevada Democratic Party right now is in shambles. And so that means the next 2 election cycles, 2022, 2024, we can kind of make a very solid play for it, I think. So I think that's going to be a main factor. So I think there's a good chance, yes. All right. we'll end the stream in 6 minutes. We'll end at 10:20 Eastern. But let's keep going for a few more minutes here. So, by the way, you know what? Ask for questions in the chat. I finally found where the receiver for my mic is, so I'm gonna go grab that off the floor real quick. But put more stuff in the chat. I'll be right back in like 2 seconds. So yeah, I want to see that chat popping, y'all. So let's hope to see you guys in there. But yeah, here we go. Grab this. There you are, you silly receiver. All right. But. All right, folks. We are back. We returned. Let's see what we got going on in chat here. Hopefully the friggin' receiver didn't break. Okay. All right. Very nice. The receiver did not break when it fell. Okay, very nice. Very nice. Okay. Where are you in the college search process? So I'm not going to disclose where I go to college, at least until I'm there. For privacy reasons. I think you guys kind of know the reason why. I just can't do that. But I am basically at the point where, I mean, I have a lot of decisions that haven't come out yet, but I'm basically at the point where I've gotten into most of the places that I'm mainly looking at going to, and now it's just going to be kind of a matter of deciding. So I'm kind of in like the decision of where I'm going kind of process right now. Also, some more details about, okay, here's something we can do, yeah. So I was actually just going to make a YouTube video about this, but for the 29 people watching right now, we can explain it to them too. Okay, so those of you guys who follow me for a while know that I kind of, I mean, I wasn't that I was necessarily like boosted by them or anything. I just kind of grew, you guys know I kind of grew up around the conservative establishment in a way. Not that like they helped me or anything. Like I worked at it myself. But the people I was kind of surrounded with once I sort of started growing up, a lot of times growing up, I mean, you know, in not growing up, but, you know, like in the political world, I've sort of been from the conservative establishment, more in that like the internet conservative establishment. Okay. So as I've grown in the more populist direction and as I've grown politically as a person, I've kind of saw it from the beginning, but especially now I see the need for something different. I've sort of noticed that the mainstream political organizations that you see on the internet are purely cringe. Okay, but not only are they cringe, and I'll let you decide what organizations I'm talking about. Okay, I'll let you decide on that one. Not only are they cringe, but they really their messaging is really dead and off. It's really like their whole obsession is just basically about free markets and economic freedom and like limited government and stuff like that. And you guys can clearly see, you know, from a populist standpoint, that is not what's plaguing the country right now. I mean, what's plaguing the country right now is basically a declining culture, a lack of national identity, you know, the destruction of families, and of the decline of traditional values. By the way, that is the root cause of basically the big government policies that all these conservatives claim to hate now. It's not like they came out of nowhere. I mean, they come out of bad culture and bad practices in society. So so here's the way I've basically seen it. Okay. The America First, populist, paleo-conservative, national populist, you know, that sort of side of the aisle of American conservatism needs their own type of organization. But they need an optical type of organization, right? Like, you know, I think that's one of the biggest problems with the America First movement is not that their ideas are wrong. It's just that they don't watch their optics. And the thing is, it makes it very easy for your mainstream, for the gatekeepers in the conservative establishment to basically slander all the paleo conservatives and populists as, you know, white nationalists and all this stuff, instead of actually having debates that they know that they would lose. Okay. And optics is the big problem. Okay. Optics is the reason why they just like, no, I will not debate you because you're a white nationalist, right? Okay. So we recognize that that's the problem. That's a problem we've been having. So what I want to do is create an optical organization that where we're like so optical
we spread these ideas, but we do it in such an optical way that the conservative establishment can't just ignore us or cast us aside as extremists or white nationalists or whatever it is, because that should ultimately be the goal, right? We want our ideas to be pushed into the mainstream. We want to become the new mainstream, right? And the reason why the current mainstream has been gatekeeping us is because we don't watch our optics, or simply because some of the other organizations that you've seen people have tried to make, they just simply don't have the backing and the size and the growth and the and the prominence in order to be able to do that, right? So those have been the two problems. There's just optics and really getting an organization together. So what we're doing with the American Populist Union, and by the way, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. We don't have any content on there yet, but you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Populist Union right here on IG. So be sure to go follow us, our organization on Instagram and Twitter. What we're trying to do with this is to take over these establishment organizations in the online sphere. We want to be we want to be the new faces of that, basically, and use them to push the new right, the populist right, the national conservative, paleo conservative, populist conservative, that aisle. Okay. And really, this is the future. And listen, the current conservative establishment is a sinking ship. It really is, because like 2016 was no accident. And I had my whole video called Exposing Fake MAGA, where I basically explain what real Trumpism is, the cause of Trumpism, and why it's not an accident that it happened in 2016. So you guys can go watch that video if you want. But you see clearly that Trumpism is the political future. That's why I think all this free market worship and those types of big government sucks, socialism sucks kind of organizations, I think they are a dying breed ultimately. And by the way, this is not to say that I necessarily have anything against these organizations. I think they have a role. I think they really do have it. And I'm being honest and I'm being genuine when I say that. I think a lot of these organizations do have a genuine role as sort of entry level conservatism to sort of get people in. But the problem is, once they're sort of in the tent, the messaging they're really throwing out there is just not good. And so by the way, I am willing to work with these organizations. It's like I do give speeches sometimes for chapters of these organizations, with the goal essentially of giving my point of view. Like, I'm more than happy to talk to these people. I'm more than happy to work with these people, but I want to see better from them. And I know a lot of these people. I don't think they're not all. Some of them are just total shills. I'll admit that. But there's a lot of them that they're just good people. They're just genuinely misguided on sort of conservatism and the future of conservatism. And so we want to be the counter to that. We want to be the counter to everything you see in the conservative mainstream. And we want our focus mainly right now to be digital content, right? We want to counter all the digital content that you see from the mainstream organizations with our own basically content. And it's in sort of a similar style, but with drastically different ideals and ideas as they relate to the concepts of conservatism. And that's going to be our main focus. And then once APU, American Populist Union, sort of becomes this big thing, which is our goal, then we hope at a later point to be able to maybe branch out, make student groups the way kind of Turning Point does, or become a think tank the way the Heritage Foundation does, or even just throw events like ACU does with CPAC. But that's all later down the line. Right now, our goal is getting out digital content that is seen by other conservatives online and really makes them stop and think like, hey, maybe this big government sucks dogma, or socialism sucks dogma, or everything. Everything is obsession with free markets and capitalism. Maybe that's not really the big focus where we should be. Maybe that's not the big issue currently in society. Maybe we should look at culture. Maybe we should look at strengthening families, and maybe that should be our focus, not what the marginal tax rates are and stuff like that. So that was a pretty long-winded answer, but essentially that in essence is American Populist Union. That is the organization we're going to be starting. So again, you can follow us on IG and Twitter at Populist Union. We'll have a YouTube channel going at some point, and that is essentially what the organization is all about. Like I said, this is I am thinking, I'm going to admit, I'm taking a huge gamble here with my career. Okay. Because starting an organization like this that runs contrary to the current mainstream, in many ways, I run a huge risk of being ostracized from the current mainstream. That's not my goal. I'm more than happy to work with the people and the institutions and the infrastructure we currently have, but I do recognize it's a huge possibility, because they do like the gatekeep. It's called gatekeeping. We do a little gatekeeping, okay?
And so I do recognize that's a possibility. Okay, and it's probably a pretty strong possibility with APU. So I am taking a pretty big gamble here with my career, honestly, when I do this, because I probably won't have an establishment to fall back on at the end of the day. But the thing is, that's how confident I essentially am that populism is the future of American conservatism. That's the gamble. It's such a big gamble I'm willing to take, basically, that it's like I don't care, because this current conservative establishment is on its way out. I mean, it's on life support right now, and so that's basically the reason why I say it is a gamble, but it's a gamble I'm willing to take, because I think it's something that's really going to succeed. I think Trumpism, I think America First, I think sort of the ideals of the original MAGA 2016, those are those are the future. Social conservatism combined with economic populism and economic nationalism, that is the future of conservatism in America. And I think that I'm literally willing to risk everything to basically come out and say that. So yeah, long story short, that's what we're doing with American Populist Union. Again, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Populist Union, and you'll be seeing content from us coming pretty soon. So is there a particular difference between populism and nationalism? Yeah, I mean, the populism is basically just it depends. Like whatever a populist is depends on what the current system is. But basically, populism is usually sort of like an ordinary sort of usually like working class sort of people's movement against the current system. And then nationalism is more like, it's just like the idea of preserving the nation and putting the needs of the nation first before all else. And sometimes you'll see, like ethnic nationalism and stuff like that. Like that basically means we want a nation for this type of people. Now, obviously not all types of nationalism are ethnic nationalism. But that's basically the idea of nationalism. And then populism is basically just an opposition. If a movement is populist, that basically means it's an opposition movement to the current system, and usually it's sort of ran and it's sort of operated by working people, is usually what populism is. Hey man, appreciate what you do, trying to bring populist conservatism to Canada as well. Keep up the good work. I appreciate it very much, and I wish you the best of luck. It's all. I think it really is the future worldwide. Because the ordinary workman in the West in general, it's not just in the U.S. I think it's in Canada, it's in Britain, it's in France, Italy, right? I think the ordinary working man and just the regular citizens of society in general have been basically left behind by this new neoliberal order, and I think there's a really lot of pushback on it. There's a pushback in a lot of different countries for like political nationalism, like no, not political globalism. Again, it's a quote Trump: "Americanism, not globalism, will be our credo," right? And in your case, Canadianism, not globalism, will be your credo. But I think there's a huge pushback against globalism, and against a sort of idea of a one world government that essentially is trying to be formed. And conservatives, unfortunately, used to be very guilty of this. I mean, it was George H.W. Bush back in the 90s that once the Soviet Union fell, he made that speech about basically how, we can create a new world order. He used the words "new world order," and basically spread democracy and American ideals around the world now that the Soviet Union is gone. Very famous speech, and really set the tone for American foreign policy and a lot of just global policy in general following the Cold War. And I think it's really been a disaster. And, I'm not an HW conservative. I'm a Pat Buchanan conservative, So I believe in the idea of the American nation, not the American empire. I think America is a nation, and we need to cherish and preserve the American nation. I think America is a unique nation. It's a unique place. It's not just an idea. Okay. America is not just an idea. It's a place with a unique people, a unique culture, a unique values, unique ethos, and cultural norms and stuff like that. And I don't think the idea, quote unquote, of America could just be picked up and thrown elsewhere and expected to work. It doesn't. There's a reason why after 3 decades of nation building in the Middle East, we have continuously failed to do that, because America is not just an idea. It is unique. It is a unique place. We are a unique American experiment. And I think if you really
That is the idea of American exceptionalism. I mean, if you think that America can just be copy pasted anywhere else around the world, then you don't really believe in American exceptionalism, because the core idea behind American exceptionalism is the idea that America is exceptional. It is unique. It stands out, right? And so, yeah, basically, that's where I'm saying I kind of stand on this stuff. And so I think globally, that's not just what a lot of Americans are feeling. I think people across the West in general are really feeling this, because, their countries have been caught up in the same kind of policy too. I'm sure Canada has, Britain has. Britain is a great example, And I think, honestly, all of us as Western populists, as Western nationalists, we have a place to work together in this, Like the US, Canada, and Britain. I mean, look at it. We all saved Western civilization together as brothers in arms during World War II, and here we are, all letting our Western civilizations die respectively. Like, no, I think conservatives in the UK, Canada, America, let's bring back the old World War II alliance and let's save Western civilization with the boys once again. Very epic. Let's go. Okay, like seriously, I mean. I think, like I said, I keep saying, I think a lot of people around the world are feeling the same thing we're feeling in America. It's not just unique to us. And I think it is the future of, globally, it is the future of conservatism, at least in the West. So, should I take my girlfriend to my sister's Easter dinner? I don't know. Why not? I mean, why not? I don't know what else you have planned, but why it's not. That's okay, John Doyle. Dude, okay, so look, sometimes you have me talking too much about American nationalism and the idea of the American nation state, and we got to save Western civilization with the boys. I mean, come on. I mean, that was just a total coincidence that came out. I mean, seriously. Can't believe AOC said the border crisis is a climate crisis. Yeah, no. Thoughts on Pence running? Well, like I said, Pence is not a true Trumper. He's not even a Trump conservative. He's kind of the opposite of that. Really an establishmentarian kind of guy. I'm a big no on Pence. No to Pence. I'm not a fan of that. He's really not a MAGA or populist conservative at all, I would say. He is an establishment conservative, and Trump chose him for that reason. Actually, he kind of chose him, to be the VP, to be the contrast between the two. And it's funny. I said we're going to end the stream 11 minutes ago, and I didn't win it, but fine. That's okay. That's fine. Bro, trust me, bro. I just have to save Western civilization, bro. So true. So true. Many such cases. Let's see what else we got going on here. Well, we'll take two more like chats or questions or whatever, and then we'll call it a night here. So I'll just wait. Two more, folks. Okay, two more, and then we'll wrap it up here. So put them in right now if you want to get them. All right. But yeah. They want our kids to worship Satan. This is such. I totally forgot to talk about the Lil Nas X kind of thing tonight. But yeah, it is very true. Listen, so here's what's going on with that. Basically, is that I got a super chat. Hold on. LD says, "You give me hope for the future. Thank you very much for the $15. Thank you very much for the kind words. I appreciate it. Trying my best out here. Thank you very much." Okay, we want our kids to work. Yeah. So what they're trying to do, basically. Okay, so they know people like America. Americans like America. Americans don't just like the idea of America. They like the foundations that America is built on, right? Traditionalism, Christianity, most of the time. Even people who aren't the most overtly Christian, very traditional, usually more traditionalist leaning when it comes to Americans. And because of that, they have sort of this natural inclination to want to preserve and conserve the American nation. Now, if you were trying to create a new globalist order, if you were trying to topple the idea of the American nation and replace it with sort of a one world system of governance with a totally open borders, transnational neoliberal order, but you don't have a society that's really open to it. You have a society that likes nationalism and likes their nation. What do you have to do? we have to tear down basically all of the foundational values and just foundations in general of that nation. You have to teach people. You have to try to convince people to hate that nation. You have to try to convince people and teach people to hate the God and of the religion that that nation is sort of foundationally based off of. You have to teach people to hate the people who live in that nation, and basically be taught that the forefathers that built the nation and stuff are just evil and we're immoral people and people that you should not look up to and people that we should condemn. And once you have people that hate their own nation, then toppling that nation state, basically transitioning into a global reset, a great reset, a one world order, a new world order, a one world government, then that becomes much easier to do, right? Because you have a population that does not like their nation and does not like nationalism. And so that's what's going on here. And then, that is one aspect of it. And I think, because at its center, so many things in our politics are at their core, theological debates, the worship, the pushing Satanism on our kids. It's a really big aspect of it, I think. So, all right, one more comment here. Let's see. All right, here we go. My liberal friends, this is gonna be the last chat of the night. My liberal friends left me. How should I celebrate? You should celebrate by you should just troll them. It's called trolling. We do a little trolling. I would say you should just start posting like openly conservative all over social media and let them see it. Let them see it. Okay, it's called trolling. We do a little bit of trolling. You can even like indirectly kind of insinuate that you're calling them out. Again, it's called trolling. We do a little trolling. Okay. Anyways, guys, with that being said, guys, thank you very much for tuning into tonight's stream. We'll see you tomorrow with the episode of the podcast, and probably some content over the weekend. I am on spring break right now, so I probably can make some more content. And we'll do that. And then, of course, as always, we'll see you back next Wednesday with another live stream. Again, we live stream every Wednesday on this channel at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, so until then, I'll see you guys then. Have a good night, everyone. Hopefully you have a good rest of your week. And remember, folks, remember, alpha moves only. Be sure to leave a like. Right now, be sure to leave a like and be sure to subscribe to join the Vince Dao Empire. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace out. And God bless.